This was a fantasy world, and it was full of powerful people who could cut mountains with a flick of their hand. These men and women were known as cultivators, and were highly respected in this land. Their goal was to become immortal, after cultivating the Tao. The strong were worshipped and could get everything they desired. This is the story of a boy named Li Fan, who became a legend in this world. One day, a boy named Li Fan, from the 21st century, traveled to this strange world, by accident. Instead of being sad, he was happy to enter the immortal world. He had read countless novels and knew that this was the start of his protagonist's journey to the top. The first thing he did was to test his spiritual roots. He thought, as he was the protagonist, he must have the golden roots, which were the rarest. But reality came crashing down, as not only did he have a crippled spiritual root, but also the worst talent in cultivation. His body was a total waste. He couldn't bear this shock and cried continuously. For 3 days and 3 nights. People started teasing him, bullying him, and looking down on him. He got even more depressed from this. But one day, something magical occurred. He heard a voice. "Congratulations. You have triggered the God-level cultivation system. After binding with it, you could follow the system tasks for training. And after completing 666 tasks, you could become an unparalleled powerhouse in the world." Li Fan became happy hearing that. He had finally activated his cheat. From now on, he would become invincible. Once again hope rose in his heart. As he was looking towards a bright future, the system's voice was heard after the binding was successful now. He was proud and he thought of slapping the faces of all those who ridiculed him earlier. But once again fate was cruel with him. The first task he received was to deliver sows to the neighbor. And Wong, even the gift package he received from the system, didn't have any fighting or cultivation techniques. Instead, it was a skill for farming. He became full of rage and cursed the system. Why was his luck so bad? Every other main character got a system with overpowered skills. But he got one for farming, and even more, he had to complete 666 tasks of farming. As he had no other option, he had to complete the system's tasks to survive. Thus days passed. And 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. In these past 3 years, he chopped firewood, fed grains to the chicken. He was forced to practice calligraphy and painting. And he even had to defend the melon field of the neighbor uncle's house. He was too exhausted in these 3 years. At this moment, as he was feeding the chickens, a man came and asked him, "The festival is coming soon. Can you write a couplet for me?" As Li Fan had a helping nature, he hurriedly went with a middle-aged man. After Li Fan disappeared, the 2 chickens transformed into mighty phoenixes. "Guys, the master has left. Come out for dinner." And from the calm pond emerged a terrifying sea dragon. The dragon then said, "To be honest, our master is getting more and more terrifying. He washed his feet in the pond and I almost grew a top-grade backbone. And a fish grew to this size today. A tree near the pond." Then said, "Could it be that the master's power has grown so fast because of abstinence? After all, in the past few years, I have never seen him get close to any girl." The dragon then said, "But the master is so busy every day. How can he meet girls?" At the same time, outside a village in the mountains, a group of people stood there. Leading them was a woman named Mu Qian. She was also known as the Saintess. One of the disciples stopped her and said in a shaking voice, "This place is a forbidden area. Even our ancestors were lost in it. Do you really want to risk yourself?" The woman gritted her teeth and said, "No way. This is a question of survival for my sect. As Saintess, I am duty-bound." She had to do it. She then took out the treasure of her sect and alerted everyone to use their qi to protect themselves. She continued, "After I break through the barrier with the formation disc, follow me in immediately. Follow me in." She then activated the formation disc, which was the treasure of their sect. The formation disc activated and a huge crack appeared in the barrier. From within the crack strong qi erupted and attacked everyone. The formation disc broke in pieces, and the woman Mu Qian, who was nearest to the activation, suffered heavy injuries. Mu Qian cried because she couldn't even pass the first obstacle. This way she would never be able to find the divine water beads. Slowly her consciousness sank and she fell down. But before she could touch the ground, she was caught in a man's embrace. The man became surprised, seeing someone fall out of nowhere. This man was Li Fan. He then asked what happened to her, but soon realized that she was unconscious. He realized that because of so much smog and lack of oxygen, the girl might have fainted. He then casually fanned his hands. But what happened next was that all the smog near that area got cleared. The woman had regained her consciousness, and seeing all this was shocked, as this was no ordinary smog, but a formation spell and no one could dissipate it like that. Just how high was this man's cultivation? The woman hurriedly bowed along with all of her juniors. She then introduced herself as Mu Qian, from Lihua sect. She then explained him about her situation, as how she along with her juniors were stuck in a formation, and the only way was to break it. She even apologized the man for disturbing him. She referred to him as a senior. Then she thanked him for helping her. Li Fan was embarrassed and said he was not a senior, but just an ordinary person. He then remembers something and says, "This Lihua sect sounded familiar. By the way, how could I help you?" The woman then responded, "Senior, this junior came here to find a dark green bead." The woman was thinking, even though she had met an expert, it was much better to speak less about this matter as it contained the secrets of the sect. Li Fan suddenly remembered and asked. He had seen that green bead many times. Did it belong to her? The woman was surprised and hurriedly bowed once again, and requested him to take her to that place. The man then said it was no problem to take them to the place, but as there were so many people and horses, they had to make sure not to trample the corn that he planted. The woman replied in a desperate voice, "Then senior, please take me alone. As long you are willing to help, I am willing to pay any price." The man felt awkward, seeing her suddenly close, the distance between them. He then agreed. The disciple came and whispered something in her ear. "Saint, as this place is dangerous, do you really want to go alone?" The scientist replied calmly, "Needless to say, for the sake of the sect, I will go no matter how difficult it is." Li Fan, seeing the disciple dressing her up, thought this woman might be some rich young lady, from a prestigious family. Then Li Fan looked towards the village, and there erupted a huge fire in between. This was the Samadhi's true fire. The woman then thought, could her armor protect her from this fire? The man then said, "Come with me." He entered the fire and continued walking. Seeing this, the disciples were shocked. Even the woman knew Qian was shocked, because wherever the man put his step, the flames disappeared from that place. It was like they were dodging. The man Li Fan then turned around and asked her why she was in a daze. Should she 999 follow him? The girl then also stepped into the fire, and it didn't harm her. The anxious disciples gritted their teeth and prayed for the saintess to win the senior's favor, and fins the water divine beads, as that was the only lifeline for their sect. Li Fan then told her that those water beads she was referring to were spotted by him while he was chopping firewood in this grove. On the other side, the woman's surprise turned to shock, because the thing this man was referring to as grove was the legendary everlasting tree. And did he say he was cutting firewood from this precious tree? The woman almost fainted after hearing all that. The man caught her and asked what happened. She replied that she felt a little dizzy. Li Fan then told her to rest under this tree. He began thinking this girl's body was way too delicate. She got dizzy just after walking a few steps. The girl realized something. This place felt like a wonderland. It was no better than heaven, described by the ancestors. Just by resting here, she could feel all the surrounding spiritual power gush into her. Li Fan then came and asked if she would like to drink water. The woman thanked him and took the gourd. As soon as she looked inside it, she was astonished because she felt that this water had some mystery to it. After drinking a sip of it, She realized that she had broken through from the second level to the third level of cultivation, from third to the fourth level, and from fourth to the fifth level. She had directly jumped 3 levels in cultivation, which otherwise would have taken her at least 4 years to reach. She was so dumbfounded that she just stared at the gourd bottle. Li Fan didn't know what was happening as he couldn't sense any qi, so just seeing her look at the gourd made him realize that she must be feeling more thirsty. He then tells her not to worry, as there was plenty of water for her to drink. The woman, hearing all that, thought, the senior must be testing me, so I shouldn't be greedy. She then hurriedly thanked the man, and returned the gourd bottle. The man then looked somewhere and said he remembered seeing a dark green bead nearby, so she could search for it. The woman thought after her cultivation had improved, her spiritual sense and perception had greatly increased. She could already sense the breath of the divine water bead. She then suddenly pointed towards a direction as they reached there. The man smiled and said, so it turned out to be here. The bead floated towards the man in a friendly manner. Seeing this, the woman thought, the divine water beads have spirits, and they would always be attracted towards the strong. Li Fan then handed over the bead to the woman. The woman was surprised seeing the senior directly handing it to him. She had thought he would demand something in return, but he was too generous. She then bowed and expressed her gratitude. Seeing the woman still bowing like that made the man embarrassed, and he then told her to relax and change her clothes before leaving. The woman was full of gratitude for him and bade him farewell. She hoped to meet him in the future someday. As she walked out from the village, one of the disciples stepped out and said with a flustered voice, Saintess, it is bad, the sect sent an urgent call. The flame sect is here to destroy our sect, we should hurry. The woman was shocked hearing this. They quickly left. On the other side, inside the Lihua sect, a middle-aged man with a mustache came along with his entourage. He then spoke, in an arrogant tone. Sect leader, from today onwards your Lihua sect won't exist. You are the only one, in the nascent soul realm in your whole sect. Whereas we have 3 of them, do you still think you could fight against my raging fire sect? It is better you surrender. The sect leader spoke in a determined voice. As long as I am breathing, you guys should never even think of destroying my Lihua sect. The other middle-aged man then smirked and charged his energy. He coldly said, if that is what you think, then I would have to stop your breath first. At this moment, a loud voice was heard, everyone stop. The woman Mu Qian hurriedly came and said, report to the sect master. The most precious treasure of the Lihua sect, the divine water bead, has been recovered. The sect leader got excited hearing that and said, now that we have the divine water bead, we could win this fight, as the divine water beads had the power to increase the strength of the cultivators several times. The disciples of Lihua sect cheered. The man with a mustache trembled seeing this and shouted, how was it possible? This bead was lost many years ago in the Forbidden Land. How could she possibly get in and retrieve it? Muqian then smirked and said, it was a senior whom she met in the Forbidden Land, and he was the one who gave this to her. The man then laughed and said, wow, even Lihua sect is good at lying. You just found some random fake bead in order to receive the people of your sect. But in the next moment, the man was shocked. The woman then replied, Elder Gong, the beads might be faked, but could the cultivation also be faked? While saying so, she revealed her 9th level cultivation. The man was horrified and shouted, she was only at the 2nd level, how could she get to the 9th level? The woman then coldly said, it was just that the senior in the Forbidden Land gave her some pointers. She then thought, under the tree, while resting, her cultivation had improved to the 5th level, and while coming here, she used the divine water bead to increase it even further to the 9th level. Even though he saw the truth, it was hard for him to accept it. As he was slowly retreating, he fell down. His disciples asked if he was all right. The man was so embarrassed that he told them to shut up. The man then said, don't think that I am afraid of you. Lihua sect, now that you have a bead, I'll come again, just live a little longer. After finishing his third-rate cliché speech, he along with his disciples retreated. The sect leader, seeing their retreating figure, said, I never expected to get the help of some mysterious expert. Whoever he is, thank you for saving me, sect. The sect leader then hurriedly went to call the old ancestor, who was meditating on the mountain, as now they were going to go meet that mysterious senior. After a while, the sect leader's old ancestor and Mu Qian had finally reached the entrance of the village. Where Mu Qian had met the senior, the old man then asked if this was the right place. The woman replied that she was not sure if he lived here, but she definitely met him here only after entering the village. The sect leader was astonished to see a village and people living in it. He then said the Forbidden Land was very near to this place. Then how could people live in here? They soon spot an old couple. The old ancestor spotted the Hoan, the old couple's shoulder, and asked them to stop. He then asked the old woman, did anyone use her hoe recently? The old ancestor asked it because the hoe was emitting terrifying amount of qi and it was by no way ordinary. Only the person who last used it must have left some of it on it. The old woman then said, only I have used it. Who else would use it at this moment? The old man intervened, dear, how could you forget? Didn't little Li Fan help you? We'd only then did the woman realize. She had forgotten, because of her old age, it was indeed little Li who helped her this morning. The old ancestor then politely asked the location of Li Fan's home. The woman pointed to the stone house and said, just behind that vegetable field is his home. As they walked there, they were shocked seeing the vegetable field, because they weren't vegetables, instead elixirs. The quality of these ingredients were legendary. There were 5 categories: low, average, high, excellent, and legendary even. In their sect, they used average quality ingredients. High quality ingredients were very expensive, and only top sects used it. Excellent was very rare, and no one had ever seen legendary quality ingredients. They couldn't contain their excitement, and started chewing the grasses as it contained too much spirit energy. There wasn't even a need to purify it to create an elixir, as this was the purest form. After eating, then sprinted towards the stone house to greet this mysterious senior. The old couple looked at them in surprise and wondered if these were 3 beggars. They looked very happy while eating the grass. It was really a pity that the old woman said that this girl was very beautiful. It would be great if younger Li married her. On the other side, Li Fan, because wood was short today and it would not last long. At this time, someone shouted, Senior Li Fan. He turned around and was surprised to see the girl. Then he asked, who were the other 2 people in the form of a girl? Because the girl was tired, she was not able to say anything, but before that, both the men said, in a surprised voice, what kind of wonderland it was, of peaches, trees, and chickens. There were all the chickens in the void area became angry at being called and looked towards him. The aura was so brilliant that the man felt unimaginable pain in his head and he fell down. When Li Fan saw this, he quickly came over and asked him if he was all right. The old man could not answer, because he was by himself. In another shock, she thought how powerful this boy was. He touched me lightly. All the aura of cock disappeared. The girl came running and said in a happy voice, Senior, these 2 are the elders of my sect. They want to meet you. They were there. That's why I came here. Suddenly the boy was surprised to hear this. At the same time, a task window appeared in front of him and a task was generated. Keep the guests for a meal. Li Fan smiled and then asked them all to come in and have a meal. The 3 were he was happy to hear that. They were well, and Li Fan quickly came in and arranged everything in his room and began to prepare fresh food for them. But the ordinary food he prepared seemed like heaven-level medicine in the eyes of the 3 of them. The 2 old men whispered among themselves that the senior intended to enlighten them both and that they should not disappoint the good intentions of the senior. They quickly ate and finished the meal. But something magical happened to all 3 of them. The old man never thought that he would break his limit. Cultivation. And even his talent had improved a lot. Li Fan came and picked up the old man. He wondered why this old man was so excited. After the meal, could it be that he came from a poor family? Li Fan looked at him pityingly and asked, So why don't you drink some tea and calm down? The old man thanked him and drank the tea. But this tea was even more incredible. It not only Not only did his cultivation talents soar, but also his previous internal injuries disappeared, which the old man could not take. He bowed directly to Li Fan anymore, saying that the great kindness and virtue of the superiors is that Kashri took it. We'll never forget, the three knelt down and shouted in unison, the great kindness of the senior, these juniors will never forget it. The fans were amazed by this. And thought how poor are these people, who get happy with a bowl of porridge over a cup of tea. At this moment, he got a notification from the system that it was time for drawing. He immediately asked the kneeling trio to get up, because it was embarrassing for him. Then tells them that he has other things to do and will not be able to see them off. The girl asks in a happy tone if she can meet him again in the future, seeing that the girl was so excited that Li Fan agreed to her request. But she agreed. After a while, the three of them came out of the house and were heading towards their sect. The elders thanked Chien for his quick-witted question, as they would be able to visit this heaven again. But this time, a terrifying energy appeared in front. Granted, it was a man with a mustache. He was burning with fire. He said in an arrogant tone, towards the two old men, "You two made it easy for me to find." That man in the sky laughed and said, "Yukashui, it doesn't matter where do you run today. You either submit to my raging fire sect or die." The old man replied angrily, "Did you really think it was easy to bully my Lihua sect? Our cultivation earlier today is different in comparison." The middle-aged man was surprised and said that this is the same breath of perfection. How could this man master it? The man in the sky laughed and began his attack with burning fire. Two horrible-looking skeletons emerged. These skeletons sent chains towards the three on the ground. The three of them became alert. The middle-aged man was shocked to see it and shouted, "Gong Sunchi, how dare you practice this evil cultivation method?" The old man made a golden shield to save them, but it all went in vain. The shield broke into pieces and blood came out of both of their mouths and they fell down. The woman screamed loudly and got scared seeing this. The old man the skeleton said, in a weak voice, "I'm afraid it's the highest grade magical weapon of the evil faction. Even if we combine all our powers, it won't be able to move." The girl was shocked to hear this and couldn't believe that it was from the Righteous faction. One member was using such unconventional techniques. Sun Chi laughed, saying that the more his skeleton absorbed power during battle, the stronger he became now. If he were to absorb all the people here, including this isolated village, he would be entering the 0 stage of cultivation. The woman tearfully begged him not to do so, because the people living in the village were innocent. Li Fan, on the other hand, he was worried seeing the weather suddenly became strange. The winds were howling and probably it was going to rain. He sighed and muttered, "Oh God, it's the weather, just don't harm my crops." This sentence of his was unaware of the bad weather. Walked towards the source of skeletons were formed. The sound echoed. A thunderbolt occurred and the skeletons were crushed into pieces. By it as golden light colored the sky gong. Sun Chi was shocked to see this. He couldn't understand that what happened, but that was just the beginning, as it wasn't long before the golden light struck straight at him and knocked him down from the sky. He was seriously injured, and as soon as he fell on the ground, he started coughing blood. He realized that he was going to die here. He immediately took out a light green medallion and put a drop of blood in it. He chanted weakly, "Burn my blood and save me." Suddenly his body turned into fog. As he disappeared into thin air, the woman, seeing all this, realized that it was Senior Li who had saved them. The old man too looking in awe. As he heard Senior Li's majestic voice, he also said that this place will always be invincible as long as Senior Li is here. But before he could finish his sentence, he coughed up blood. Because he was seriously injured, the woman asked him to calm down, because his injury was serious, on behalf of the old man, and said, "I don't think so. I don't know why there is a mark of chains on my body. It cannot be removed." The woman immediately said, "Should we ask Senior Li for help?" After a while, the three of them walked towards the village. Once again, the old man felt helpless and said, "It wasn't like that long before we left, and now once again, we had to go and ask for help from Senior Li. I hope the senior will not bother us." The atmosphere of the village was lively as many children were playing and adults were going to the fields. Old people, the sun was sunbathing and women were cooking food for their husbands. A small child was running away from the girl, who insisted on showing him the painting too, but the boy said that it was his and his painting would be finished tomorrow. The old man suddenly felt something and looked towards the children who were fighting. He stopped and asked them politely, Where they got this painting, the boy said, that Brotherly had given it to him. He became excited and opened the scroll to show him the painting. He proudly said, that Brotherly made it. The best painting, the old man saw. This painting fell. But it was not because of pain, but because of joy. He moaned like a girl and said that in front of this sacred picture, the sun had such a powerful way, that all the evils turned away. It seemed as if all his wounds were healed. The middle-aged man asked if it could be that seniorly calculated that he would be hurt by evil. So he deliberately asked the child to bring the painting to us asked for. The old man said that nothing could happen to a character like seniorly. By avoiding his sight, Gongsun she was able to escape safely. Perhaps it was because seniorly had deliberately let him go. The woman asked in a worried tone, but what was seniorly's purpose in going towards the old man and said that he was afraid he did not do it. It is not qualified to know yet, the old man continued, but seniorly gave so many blessings that he must repay her with all his heart. The woman blushed and said that she understood that he was thinking of something else, because he said, whether seniorly needed it, she was willing to give him everything. On the other side, there was a fan of Lee painting on a mountain top, she said in a disappointed tone. This system was too strict with its searches, she had to sit here every day and draw. Unknown to Lee's fan, there was a cat and a mouse chasing down the mountain, a tiger cub running at high speed and 2 bird animals chasing him. Shouted one of them, "Be sure to catch him, the white tiger's blood can help us turn into humans." The tiger cub shouted angrily, "Stop chasing me, if you eat me, my father won't let you go." Because the tiger cub was running, she saw a golden energy from above. She saw a person with a painting brush. She was shocked and wondered how the Tao well could have such a strong flow. Now was not the time to think that maybe I should go and ask her for help. She jumped straight from the ground towards the mountain, where Li Fan was. Li Fan on the other side was in a dilemma about what to draw next. She had just finished drawing the mountain waterfall, thought that something was missing. All this time, he saw some bird animals flying towards him. Seeing this, he suddenly realized what he was missing. He quickly picked up the brush and started drawing bird animals in it. What happened next was even more surprising. The birds behind him all got inside the painting. Li Fan was happy to see his painting completed. Then he turned back, but was surprised finding that the birds had disappeared. He thought that perhaps they had flown away. The white tiger was frightened after seeing this and thought that this was impossible. Those 3 divine beasts that had crossed the realm of the void was actually drawn into the painting. Will she be the next? Li Fan turned and said, "It seems there is something else here." The tigers got into a fighting position after seeing this and thought, "I have no choice left. I have to use that trick, which no human could ever resist." He opened a blue invisible portal in front of him and walked across it. But what came out on the other side was not a scary white tiger, but a cute little cat Li Fan was looking at, because it was just a small cat. She was surprised to see such a beautiful cat in the forest. The cat felt proud of her appearance. But the next moment, she was shocked to see that the man in front of her was extending his hand towards her. Li Fan. Then she hugged the cat tightly and started playing with its fur. The cat was screaming in fear. Li Fan then touched a sensitive spot on the cat, happily expressing that this very moment was on Li Fan's mind. A notification rang and a new task was generated: adopt the white cat as a pet. This made him even happier since he had already decided to take it home. Sometime, the cat was inside Li Fan's house and was shocked to see the normal-looking chickens and trees, because on the surface, they might seem like normal things, but in reality, they were very scary and powerful. A chicken suddenly realized her sight and he looked at her. The cat immediately got scared and stepped back, but due to the sudden jump, she lost her balance and fell down. But before she could touch the ground, Li Fan cut her off. Then he asked in a worried tone, "How do you feel? Are you hungry?" She hugged the cat again. The cat and took her away. As the cat was leaving, she smiled towards the animals. The cat was happy, because she had discovered the secret of how these ordinary trees and chickens became so godly. The more they were with their master, the more powerful they became. But from today onwards, she will always be with him, and will keep absorbing the Tao energy left by him and will become invincible. Li's fans smiled at the excited cat and asked him to eat this thing. hearing which the cat became sensual and started licking his hands. And swallowed the food. Li Fan blushed and immediately held his hands, he thought. Maybe, what it was because he was alone for too long, he started to have strange fantasies. Then he got up and left the cat smiling and thought that it happened when you were embarrassed, that your energy flow has become uneven and a lot of spiritual energy has leaked out. I will continue to absorb it and grow stronger. Time passed, and soon it was night. Li Fan was in deep sleep, but the cat was awake. Suddenly, something magical happened. The cat transformed into a beautiful girl with silver hair and cat ears. Then she quietly climbed on top of him and felt spiritual energy seeping from her. Then she whispered softly into his ear, "Sir, dear sir." Li Fan slowly opening her eyes, she looked at him with half-open eyes. And he realized, he was dreaming. He blushed in the dream and muttered, "What a beautiful dream, please come true." The cat girl became happy, as she felt her aura become uneven, causing her spiritual energy has grown several times. Then she softly hid in the blanket and wondered, if she had to live in this neighborhood, sleeping next to her every day would turn her into a pure-blooded animal. The cat girl eventually got a scar on her face, fell asleep with a satisfied smile, inside a large decorated hall. On the other side, the atmosphere was tense. The woman asked the old man, "Master, do you really want to do this?" The old man said, "Okay, I believe Senior Li, Tiger game playing, he helped us to give us a chance, he wanted us to be his pawns." Gong Sun Chi, the people of Li Fan sect, would have angered Senior Li, and it would be shameful for Senior Li to kill him directly, so we have to play the role of pawns and declare war against Li and the sect. Everyone in the hall was shocked to hear this. They couldn't believe what they heard. Declared war, that too with Lian's sect. The next day, a flying ship comes over Lihua's sect, and from inside it, a beautiful girl comes out, and this girl is Hualinger, the third princess of Kingdom Fire. And Linger's servant is saying, "The third princess of Kingdom Fire is here. Princess, Lihua's sect is just a weak moon-grade force. Is it necessary to come here in person? Besides, they declared war on Lai Yan's sect not long ago. Will our visit this time offend?" And Linger is wondering. Rumor has it that Saintess of Lihua's sect came back from Wonderland with the supreme treasure. Now they have the guts to declare war on Lai Yan's sect, so they must have obtained some secret techniques from some masters. And Linger tells them, Hualinger from Kingdom Fire is here to visit Lihua's sect. And the old man says, "Welcome, Princess. Could third princess tell us what you are here for?" And Linger says, "Elders, you must know it. Recently, there has been a beast tide in Mount Sungli. Many people have suffered greatly from it. And this matter is related to Lai Yan's sect's worshipping of evil gods and practicing of sorcery." And the old man says, "It is true. I wonder what the princess wants our sect to do." And the old man is thinking, "Thanks to Senior Li, I survived from that sorcery." And Linger says, "Lai Yan's sect has been domineering for many days. Lihua's sect dared to declare war on it at this moment, so I think you must get some help from some masters. Master, can you introduce us to meet them and save the people of my kingdom?" Hearing his words, the old man is thinking, could it be that my declaration of war against Lai Yan's sect was also predicted by Senior Li, just to ask me to bring the princess to pay a visit? What a sophisticated game! And the old man tells Linger, "Of course. Lihua's sect should do its part for common people. I'll ask Saintess Mu Qianing to take you there to meet the master." And Linger becomes happy after listening to the old man's words, and says, "Thank you, master." After this, Linger is saying to the woman, "Oh, now I know. By the way, Qianing, do you know what Senior Li likes to eat? Wouldn't it be impolite to visit him without bringing anything? Should I bring some Kingdom Fire produce?" And the woman tells Linger, "It would hardly be necessary. Sister Linger, take it easy." And then another flying ship arrives at that place. And seeing that flying ship, all the soldiers say it's the second princess. Is she here to cause trouble for our princess once again? And there's this lady, the second princess of Kingdom Fire, Hua Xuanfei, and the girl says, "Hualinger, hand over ruby ring to me immediately." But Linger asks the girl, "Second sister, why are you here? What do you want ruby ring for?" But the girl says, "Stop being innocent. The evil god caused turmoil in Mount Sungli, and the treasure of Kingdom Fire buried in the mountain is about to appear. You are here also for this." But you are so useless even with ruby ring. It's best to let me have ruby ring, and I can reward you with some leftovers. Linger does not want to give the ruby ring and says, ruby ring is my mother's legacy. You can't take it away. And the girl's subordinate says, I only borrow ruby ring for a short while, and I will definitely return it afterwards. I don't want to hurt you, so I hope the third princess can give it up. And Linger is surprised to see that girl and says, you are the saintess of Longxian sect. And this girl is the saintess of Longxian sect, Longzine. And the woman comes in front of Linger and says, Longxian sect, so what? If Sister Linger doesn't want to, will you rob her? And seeing this, Xuanfei says, how dare you stand up for others? And then an old man attacks the woman, seeing which the woman gets surprised, but Linger comes in front of the woman, and that attack hits Linger, and that attack hits Linger in the eyes, and blood starts coming out of Linger's eyes, and seeing this the soldiers say that is ethereal grade. Merely the guard protecting the saintess can be that powerful. And the woman thinks, a guard of ethereal grade, I'm afraid it will be difficult even when two masters of Lihua sect working together to resist it. And Linger says to Xuanfei, second sister, you are my only sister. Why do you always have to make things difficult for me? And Xuanfei laughs and says, because now my mother is the queen, and I can do whatever I want. Hand over the ring immediately, or your crew will be destroyed in minutes. And Linger says, no, Qianing has nothing to do with this matter. Don't hurt her. Princess, let's endure it for now. Okay, I'll give you the ring. And Linger gives that ruby ring, and the girl holds that ruby ring and says it would have been better if this had happened earlier. The weak should accept his fate. I heard that Lilo sect has a new backer recently, so you are now more arrogant dash. But no matter what backer you have, it's like nothing but an ant facing Longxian sect. And Linger is saying, it's been like this since I was a child. Since my mother passed away, my belongings have been grabbed in this manner, and the woman says to Linger, Sister Linger, don't worry. Longxian sect is not even worthy of being Senior Li's opponent. Senior Li will definitely help us find all the lost justice. After this the scene shifts, and we come to Li Fan's house and Li Fan is saying, although I painted it myself, I still have to say that the painting is really fucking good. And then the woman and Linger come to that place. And the woman tells Linger that this is Senior Li Fan, and Linger goes in front, and bows before Li Fan and says, Master, it's my honor to meet you. I am Linger. And Li Fan says, no, don't be so humble. What's wrong with this girl? Did she get sand in her eyes? And the woman tells Li Fan, Sister Linger was just bullied by some villains, and her mother's legacy was snatched. And Li Fan thinks, villains, robbers, the outside world is really dangerous. How can such a weak girl gain a foothold? And Li Fan tells Linger, don't be so sad. Wipe your tears. And gives her a handkerchief. And when Linger wipes her tears from that handkerchief, a lot of spiritual energy comes out from inside that handkerchief. And seeing this, Linger is surprised and thinks, how can it be, I just wiped my eyes with this handkerchief, and my wound is healed. Besides, my eye skills have also been promoted from fire eyes to ruby eyes. I can see clearly that there are thousands of strands of spiritual power flowing here. Senior Li's residence is totally a wonderland. And the woman says to Linger, Sister Linger, did Senior Li just bless you? And Linger says, it's more than just a blessing. It just makes me reborn. Thank you very much, Senior. And Li Fan says, it's just a handkerchief. You're welcome. But Li Fan is thinking, how miserable this girl's life is. Is it too much just because of a handkerchief? And Li Fan asks both of them to come inside, then they both go inside and Li Fan says, I'm sorting out my paintings. It might be a bit messy. And when both of them see the paintings made by Li Fan, they are very surprised and think such powerful flowing spirit of Tao. This painting is definitely a holy object. And when Linger touches that painting she feels so much power. I feel countless fragments of Tao calling me. It's a sense of stability like returning to my mother's womb. And then Linger's eyes are upgraded, the third grade holy eyes. And the woman asks Linger, Linger, how are you feeling? So Linger says, Senior Li is really the strongest master I have ever seen. And Li Fan looks at both of them and thinks, it's just a few paintings. Why are they so surprised? Or is it that my painting skills are really superb? And then a notification comes from the system, new task, give Hualinger a gift. And Li Fan thinks, gift? A sudden gift. I have been farming in the mountains for 3 years. How can I have money to buy any gifts? Oh, I know. And Li Fan tells Linger, since you like my paintings so much, take one with you. Take it as a gift. If you meet any difficulties in the future, this painting may be helpful. And Li Fan is thinking, this is totally a system reward without cost. So nice. And the woman says softly in Linger's ear, Sister Linger, Senior Li always has a plan. He must have foreseen that you will use it in the future when he wants you to have this holy object. And Linger tells Li Fan, then I will accept it. Thank you for your generosity, Senior. But Li Fan is thinking, I think they must be quite poor. They can sell this painting to get some money and support their family. I help people and complete this system task at the same time. I am so capable. And Li Fan tells Linger, just keep one thing in mind, it is better to keep paintings for a longer time. And Linger says, don't worry, Senior. I understand it. And Li Fan says, just keep bargaining when you sell it to close the deal in a higher price. And Linger says, the Senior is reminding me that this painting should only be shown at a critical moment, so as not to be too ostentatious. And Linger asks Li Fan, Senior, you've entrusted me with such a valuable painting. I'm curious as to what your next request will be. So Li Fan says, didn't you say that your mother's legacy was taken away? If possible, it's better to take it back. Li Fan is thinking, I don't know if the money for one painting is enough to redeem that legacy. Maybe I should give her more? And Linger softly says to the woman, get back what was stolen? Does Senior mean? And the woman says, we should declare war on Longxian sect? And Linger says to Li Fan, Senior, I understand what you mean. And the woman says, don't worry, Senior. We will follow your orders. And after listening to both of them, Li Fan says, what? You understand me? Well then bye. After this, the woman and Linger leave by flying ship, and the woman is asking Linger, could it be that Senior Li wants us to go directly to Longxian sect? And Linger says, but I am more worried about the people of Kingdom Fire. And then the flying ship starts moving, and when Linger and the woman look ahead, there are many flying ships in front, and seeing this the woman says, why are there so many cultivators heading towards Mount Sunli? And Linger says, could it be that there is a beast hide again in Mount Sunli? I have to go and see. I can't let them attack the people of Kingdom Fire anymore. After this, all the flying ships come down, and there are a lot of cultivators at that place. And when the woman looks ahead she is shocked and says, why did the mountains experience such significant collapse? According to legend, the Supreme Master of Kingdom Fire passed away in Sunli Mountain. As for the movement of the mountains, it seems to be a sign of the appearing supreme treasure. If treasure hunters enter this dangerous wonderland or encounter fights and robberies, they should take responsibility for their own deeds. Longxian Sect, Xianin Pavilion, and the royal family of Kingdom Wind, it turns out that these people are here for the supreme treasure. And then the ground starts shaking, and a lot of chains come down from the sky. And a coffin comes out from that place, and seeing this everyone gets surprised and says, it's the unexplored territory. It appears. On the top, could it be the coffin of the Supreme Master of Kingdom Fire? Where the Supreme Master is buried. The supreme treasure must be there. What a fulfilling journey today! Once you get the treasure, you can become immortal in one step. But Linger looking at that coffin says, no, there are more than just treasures in the coffin. And the woman asks, Sister Linger, what did you see? So Linger states, I'm not sure, but it's definitely not that simple. Perhaps Senior Li gave me the painting to let me stop all of this. After this, everyone is saying, Longxian sect is so fast. They have broken through the first realm of the territory. Follow up. Don't miss this great opportunity. And the woman asks, Sister Linger, shall we go too? So Linger says, yes, but be careful. The treasure here is attractive but also extremely dangerous. Every realm of the territory is tightly surrounded by chaotic flames. If you are not careful enough, you will, and then something starts falling from the sky, and seeing this the woman says, "Be totally wiped out, Sister Linger, let me help you guard the flying ship. You can use your eye skills now." And the woman creates a protection barrier over the flying ship, and says, "Linger, don't worry. Fortunately, Senior Lee helped me upgrade to holy eyes, so I can now clearly discern the safe path, passing through the chaotic flames easily." After this, we see a scene of another flying ship. All the soldiers in this place are burning to death. And seeing all this, Xuanfei is saying, "Damn it, my eye skills are still weak, and the territory in front is getting more and more chaotic. Even with Ruby Ring, it is difficult to see it clearly." And when Xuanfei touches the lock of that chain, it starts burning. And asks the girl for help, but a man says, "Stand back." And now Xuanfei is falling down from that burning flying ship, and seeing this Linger says, "Wait, sister." But the woman says, "Sister Linger, don't set yourself on fire." And then the ruby ring starts falling from the sky, and Linger sees the ruby ring, and the ruby ring flies and goes directly into Linger's finger. And now that ruby ring comes on Linger's finger, but I don't know what Linger thinks. And she says, "I see, Senior Lee knew that the Xuanhua ring would recognize its master, so he didn't immediately help me retrieve it." And the woman comes behind Linger and says to her nervously, "Sister Linger, can you still hold on?" And Linger tells the woman with confidence, "Does not matter. As for Senior Lee's plan, I will break through the secret realm no matter what." After this we see a man, who is trying to break the last circle, but it is very difficult for him to do this. Then he comes in the flying ship and says to the Saintess, "With the power of several major sects, there is absolutely no possibility of opening this last level of the magic circle." And after listening to his words, girl tells him, "As long as the elder is alright, for the final hurdle, we can't force it." And all the people there at that place think that it is very difficult to enter this secret realm. But when someone says something, it's too early to say that. And everyone gets surprised after hearing this, and we see Linger, which is trying to break that last circle, and she breaks that last circle. And whatever power he has, he goes towards that coffin. And seeing this everyone gets surprised, and the old man says, "The highest level coffin. This is a great opportunity. If I can get my hands on the secret treasures within, the Manhwa sect will surely prosper. Road open the casket." And the man seeing all these things tells Linger, "Don't go near that coffin." And hearing this, the old man also gets surprised and says, "According to the unwritten rules, the first force to break through has priority to choose. Besides, it was the last seal we opened. What if none of us were standing in front? Can you guys come over here?" But the man gets angry and says to all of them, "I will give you two choices, die or leave." And after listening to his words, now all three get ready to fight. And that guy and girl summon something and say to them, "If you guys don't go, don't blame me for being rude." And as soon as they say this, all three get angry, and the old man says to them, "A broken spirit nail can lock the cultivator's spiritual power, so that the cultivator's spiritual power gradually turns into black ice, and finally dries up. What a cruel method!" But the girl tells them, "You are much stronger than your good-for-nothing brother, and I respect you too, but you shouldn't be here." And Linger gets angry at girl and says to her, "You seize an opportunity like this. If you destroy Senior Lee's arrangement, Senior Lee will not let you go." But the girl doesn't care at all, and she directly grabs Linger's neck and says to her, "Senior Lee? Even if it's the Emperor, you can't restrain me today." After this, the man goes to open the coffin. And gathering his power at one place, he puts it inside that coffin, due to which a huge explosion occurs inside that coffin. Seeing this, the girl gets scared and blood starts coming out of her mouth. And from inside that coffin, anything comes out, which is very dangerous, and at the same time the person also gets hurt by that blast. And then that evil person catches that man. And the man asks the girl to help him. And seeing this everyone gets surprised and says, "This is Emperor Manhua." "What? He's not dead yet?" "No, this is the Emperor who turned into a demon, second only to the existence of the evil god." And now we see the evil Emperor who is emanating very dangerous energy from his body, and that energy is going directly towards the girl. And then someone comes to that place and says to that evil Emperor, Don't be arrogant, you devil. Ling Xian, from the Holy Land Taiyan, is here. And the girl says to the man, fellow Taoist, save me. I long Xuanzong, and am willing to give up all the secret realm treasures this time. And the man says to the girl, Long Xuanzong? Retrieve your sex's secret treasure, and I'll help you quickly. And after listening to both of them, Linger gets angry and says something to them. But then, someone slaps the woman and Linger, who is none other than girl, and she says to them, the treasure itself has nothing to do with you, Long Xuanzong. Why did you let him take the treasure? Senior Li, how come I didn't see Senior Li coming to save you in this situation? You just happened to break through the secret realm and want to affect the overall situation. That's ridiculous. The treasures of this secret realm can never be yours. After this, the man starts gathering his power in his fingers and also takes out a talisman, and points the talisman directly towards that evil energy and says, evil spirits are everywhere. It looks like it really is a newborn monster. And then an old man comes to that place, seeing whom the man salutes him, and girl gets surprised to see that old man. And she says in surprise, it turns out that His Highness is second only to the Supreme One, and that sword that is. Now the old man steps forward and says this sword was the last sword the Taiyan immortal had before becoming an immortal. It already contains a trace of immortal energy. It is a pride to die under this sword, but this makes no difference to the evil emperor. He becomes even more angry and takes out his evil dragon. And at the same time, the old man moves his finger and attacks the evil emperor's dragon. And the old man says to that man, you don't need to worry, kid, pseudo-sword and new demon lord will suffice. But then something happens at that place which the old man had not imagined. That evil energy goes directly towards that old man and starts burning him. And also due to the effect of that evil energy, the man starts vomiting blood, and the evil emperor appears and says to them, even the Taiyan Holy Land's elders couldn't do anything about it. Unlucky! Are we doomed to die here? I don't want to die here. Don't want that. And seeing this, girl goes into shock. She gets very disappointed, but then Linger comes in front of her, and she takes out the painting given by Li Fan and says in a serious look, you're right, I'm not the protagonist of this world, but I know better than you who the protagonist is. And when the evil emperor looks at Linger, he thinks, Sacred Fire Eye? Follow my way, since you inherited my power, you must become my slave. And then with the help of his eyes the evil emperor does something that Linger had not thought of, the feeling of hopelessness, this truly powerful power. But Linger takes out that painting and a lot of light comes out from that painting, due to which whatever evil energy is there goes away, and a phoenix also comes out from that painting, seeing which the evil emperor gets surprised. And thinks that a power that doesn't exist in this world. I won't lose. I'm going over the edge. But just as the evil emperor is about to use his power doesn't work because the painting starts pulling the evil emperor inside itself. And within no time the evil emperor disappears. And seeing this, Linger gets surprised as to what just happened. And at the same time the woman comes behind Linger and tells her, Sister Linger, you did it! Senior Li will definitely reward you. And now many people congratulate Linger. But the girl is very scared and she says, the demon king, that even the Taiyan Holy Land is devoured by the scroll. I'm ashamed to have ruined her practice with such a broken spirit. And the girl directly bows down and starts apologizing to Linger, and Linger tells her, do you know that you almost ruined Senior Li's event? You even made insulting comments on Senior Li. It was so easy for him to erase your cultivation. And Linger summons something and gets hurt by it, and apologizes to Linger, and goes away from there. And also Linger finds a treasure. This is the supreme magical weapon of Supreme Lihua. City of Gods Tianhlo. It is said that it is made of 10,000-year-old Xuanhua wood, and the Tao Yun of Supreme Lihua's life is smelted in it. And all three become very happy after holding that treasure. After this the scene shifts and we see Hua Imperial Palace. And we see the Emperor of Kingdom Fire. Who is Linger's father? And also Linger's stepmother is there at that place, and she angrily says to the Emperor, Your Excellency, it must be the lowly maid who killed the concubine clan. You must take revenge on the person who killed the concubine. There was an invincible existence behind him. And after listening to the Emperor's words, she becomes quiet, she is unable to say anything. Then the Emperor puts his hand on his head and says, "Go, take my will and invite Princess Linger back. I want to make her the Empress of the next generation of the whole empire." After some time we see Li Fan and Linger has come to that place, and she says to Li Fan, "Thank you Senior Li for the painting. Linger has finished wearing it, and now I am returning it to Senior, and this item is also taken to Senior." But Li Fan tells him, "The painting was originally given to you, so you don't need to return it to me, but this block of wood. Rather interesting, much better than regular firewood." And Li Fan catches that treasure, and looking at it he is thinking, "If you look closely, this is a good material for carving. Come to think of it, my carving skills are considered impeccable, and they must be worth some money if I were to sell them. This is a good material for carving. Just help them again, after all, they are already so pitiful." And all three become very surprised and look at Li Fan very carefully, and Li Fan takes out a knife and says to them, "Now that you know that I have a little understanding of carving, and I will give it to you again. I will help you again. The carving knife that this system provides is still very strong, and it's still easy to carve wood." And the middle-aged man gets surprised after seeing that knife and says, "The carving knife is a wonderful product. It wasn't even weaker than a painting scroll." And the old man also says, "Incredible. I clearly sensed that what the carving knife seemed to be carving was the Tao, heaven and earth." And now Li Fan starts designing that treasure with the help of that knife and blows on that treasure. And he turns the treasure into a beautiful palace, which everyone is shocked to see. They all start crying. And finally Li Fan makes that treasure in the form of a palace. And about this we are told, a truly invincible treasure. It could become a supreme tier power. This thing should only exist in the sky. Senior Li just gave it away? And Li Fan wants to give that treasure to Linger, and everyone gets surprised to know this, especially Linger. And Linger takes that treasure, and thanks Li Fan. And also Li Fan gives something else to Linger and says, "Here are some more decorations, I'll give them to you." And Li Fan gives it to him, and the old man says thank you to Li Fan for doing all this. And at the same time the middle-aged man is looking at that thing and thinking, this time, what Senior Li gave was definitely a treasure that could accompany the two of them in their lifelong practice. And Li Fan picks up that cat and tells them, "It's not that serious. It's just a gift. If you want to thank me, why don't you guys tell me something interesting about the outer world of immortal cultivators? I'm a human living in a village, and I've never even been outside." And after listening to Li Fan's words, all three get surprised and they start thinking, "Senior Li. It's finally time for the mission." Senior Li asks Li's to be his eyes and ears. And the old man says to Li Fan, "We'll go through fire and water for Senior Li. We'll do whatever it takes." And everyone greets Li Fan, and seeing this Li Fan is thinking, why do these cultivators have to behave like that at every turn? I just want to hear the story, it's embarrassing. And Li Fan asks them all to leave and tells them that I am going to the mountain to paint, but Li Fan looks at them and thinks, unfortunately, poor people like them don't think they're doing well in the world of immortal cultivation, so it's better for them to master their cultivation, and Li Fan now leaves from there. And now all three also start leaving from there, and the woman asks Linger, "Sister Linger, what are you looking at?" And Linger tells the woman, "There seems to be a crane in this heavenly palace." And then something magical happens at that place, and the palace starts becoming very big, seeing which everyone gets surprised. And seeing that thing they say, "This must be Senior Li's instructions. Let's go inside and take a look." And now everyone goes inside that palace and becomes very happy to see that place and says, "Is this the interior of the heavenly palace?" Here the sound of his great Tao boomed with long Tao implications, at least at the level of the Pure Land. And the old man says, "Good, it is comparable to a holy object, it can be big or small, and one day of practice in it is worth hundreds of years. I think Senior Li gave us this so that we could grow lip quickly and build up a force capable of doing things for Senior Li." And Linger now sits at that place and starts cultivating and is thinking, "It's amazing how quickly I was able to train here, in just a few days my domain." And then we see a man who is looking to Linger. Is happening. And he becomes aware of Linger's breath, and thinks that she must be nearby, and he says loudly, Emperor Hua's edict has arrived. Third princess, Hua Linger has come out to welcome the edict. And they all hear that man's voice. And they all get a little puzzled, and the man says again, where is the third princess? Third princess, hurry out to receive the edict. And Linger recognizes that man after seeing him and thinks, Golden Armor Commander? And that commander tells them all, by order of Emperor Hua. Third princess is summoned to return to the imperial capital immediately, and Emperor Hua will crown you as the heir to the throne. Third princess, why don't you accept the decree and thank the emperor? And Linger says in a loud voice to that commander, accepting the edict? How dare a golden armor guard in front of the palace be so cruel? Are you looking down on me? And the commander gets angry and emphasizes his point by saying, Third princess, even though you have noble status, the Hui kingdom has never judged your status since birth. If you don't have a big force behind you, and you only rely on your own strength, I'm afraid the third princess won't be able to take the position of Hua royal inheritance today, right? Even though I'm just the commander of the golden armor in front of the palace, but still a great cultivator from the cave void realm. Even His Majesty Emperor Hua never listened to the word mere to insult me. And Linger starts laughing after listening to that commander's words, and the woman asks him, the cave void realm doesn't seem to be out of reach? And Linger directly comes behind that commander, which the commander did not even notice when Linger came behind him. But that commander attacks Linger, but Linger kills that commander very easily. And starts laughing and says, Today! It's time to avenge my mother's death. And the woman becomes happy after seeing Linger's power and says, Sister Linger, you are so powerful now. Even the void cave realm is easily killed by you. Then Linger tells them, Emperor Hua is ruthless, and this time he seems to have ceded his throne to me, but actually he has a conspiracy in mind. I plan to take this opportunity to kill him completely and make the entire Hui kingdom available to Senior Li. And Linger is thinking, it's time to do it. It is also time to lay down the first power for Senior Li. And on the other hand, Linger's stepmother is very angry, and she is saying to the emperor, how dare they, mere members of the Li Hua sect, dare to want to kill His Majesty. But the emperor gets angry with him and says, if you think you have the protection of an invincible master, if so, let's try. And now the emperor is sitting on his throne. And then a soldier comes to that place, who is very nervous, and he tells the emperor, the third princess has entered the palace. I can't stop her. And as soon as the emperor comes to know about this, he becomes very nervous. And his advisor tells the emperor that it is not too late. You can go from here. But the emperor's wife, she says to the emperor, Your Majesty, please do something to kill that bitch. Even if she is blessed by great power, Her Majesty is at the Mahayana stage, so it will be easy to kill her. But the emperor says sadly, Invincible immortal power, I regret to say that all military soldiers. Unfortunately. And now the emperor starts going to Linger, to meet her. And opens the door and says with great enthusiasm, My son! I would like to congratulate you today on your ascension to the position of Lord of Luo Kingdom. But Linger does not like the emperor's behavior, and Linger tells him, That's why I don't like coming to the palace. You're always on top, looking down on others. And the emperor says to Linger, You will soon become the ruler of Hua Empire, and you can change all these unpleasant rules, and we can change everything in Hua Empire. You can follow the look your mom likes, remember when she told me. And when the emperor talks about Linger's mother, Linger gets very angry. And she asks her to shut up, and she says, You don't deserve to mention my mom. It's not 15 years ago, and I'm not a little girl anymore. My mom died because of you, but today I can't stay silent anymore. And the emperor asks and says to Linger, Do you remember? Your mother was my true love, and she also loved me very much. Otherwise how could she die for me? Linger, I know you have hatred, so today I will prove it to you. And the emperor grabs his wife's neck and tells her, all this has happened because of her. And the emperor kills him and says, He killed your mother back then, and I've long wanted to kill him, but it was only because of the stability of the empire now. It's time to avenge your mother. And the emperor softly says to Linger, Come, my son. I'll put this robe on you. Starting today, you are the emperor of the Hua Empire. Father will help you to manage this empire well. But Linger knows the emperor's intentions and says to him, shameless. No need to put lip an unnecessary fight. Today, you two will die, and be buried with my mother. And the emperor asks Linger, can't we both talk together? But Linger refuses. And hearing this, the emperor has no option left, and he says, I've counseled you well, but you're so stubborn. If that's the case, then don't blame me for being cruel. And now the emperor starts charging himself, seeing which even Linger becomes alert. And the emperor angrily says, because here, there is a vein of earth fire. For generations, the ancestors of the Hua imperial family have nurtured it with their lives. The bones of the corpses buried within have long given spirit to the earth's fire veins, and when they come together, they are powerful enough to burn immortals. And now the emperor's eyes turn white, and he continues, I am the true fire dragon, even if it's an immortal. Even if the person behind you comes in person, it won't be enough to defeat me. And then Linger takes out the heavenly palace. And the emperor attacks Linger with fire, but the heavenly palace destroys the dragon, due to which one of the emperor's hands gets cut off. And seeing this, the emperor cannot believe, what kind of magical weapon is this? And now Linger comes forward and says the most important rule to change in the Hua Empire is the rule of your incompetent emperor. And within a short time Linger kills that emperor. And she picks up her crown and says, Mother, I have taken your revenge today. After killing the emperor, preparations are now underway for Linger's coronation. And then two old men come to that place and call Linger congratulations. And also one of the elders says, Emperor Hua, I won't beat around the bush anymore. This time we came here, we also want to see the senior who gave the painting. This is related to the survival of the Zanshin realm. And the second elder also says, we discovered that there is something hidden in the depths of Tsungli Mountain, which can change the existence on the mountain, and it is precisely because of this that the demon master was resurrected this time. What's more, 3 days ago, an evil god's messenger descended on Mount Tsungli, and his purpose seemed to be that artifact. Once the evil god succeeds and loses Tsungli Mountain as his base to transform everything on the mountain, it will be disastrous for the entire southern region and even the Zanshin realm. Therefore, our two holy places would like to join hands with that senior to protect the Zanshin realm. And listening to the words of those two elders, Linger is thinking, I thought Senior Li only wanted to subdue demons, but it turns out that such a thing exists in Tsungli Mountain. Now it seems that the world in Senior Li's eyes is far from our imagination. Senior Li's chess game is too high, too big. We ants can only see a part of it. Then Linger says to those two elders, I can take the two of you to meet Senior Li, but whether or not you can meet depends entirely on luck, and both of them elders says thank you to Linger. 2 days later, two girls are going towards the mountain by flying ship. And those people are saying, worthy of the old ancestors' testimony. At first glance it looks like a sleeping dragon. Sister Nafong, I heard that the demon that appeared here was pressed to death by a painting. I really don't know what kind of person can paint like that. And the name of this pink-haired girl is Xiling. And the name of this black-haired girl is Nafong. And then they feel spiritual power, seeing which both of them get surprised and Xiling says this is the Taoist realm of the Holy Pen. It rises to the sky. How is this possible? To be able to influence a spirit-class flying boat from such a long distance, how terrifying this Taoist realm is. And Xiling asks Nafong to follow her to that place, but Nafong tells her, I trust your perception of Tao paintings, but if there really is a supreme master painting, it would be too dangerous to go there rashly. That's all. After all, the Tsungli Mountains are full of dangers, so it doesn't matter if it's more than that. Spirit boat. Fly low and don't be rude to the creatures in front of you. There are too many unknowns in this beam of light, Xiling. Are you sure you want to go? And Xiling is surprised and says, Sister, just by getting close, the secret method of painting on my body will work automatically. This is the Tao calling. If only I could go up there and see it, with just one look. I would die with no regrets. Nice. Let's check it out. Next, we see Li Fan painting a mountain. And both the girls are secretly watching Li Fan while he is painting. And thinking, this is a real saint painting. Man and Tao are one. Every stroke is a carrier of the great Tao of heaven and earth. What kind of figure painted this? Even if we look at the paintings left by the sects when the old ancestors painted, they are not as shocking as this. And Li Fan puts his signature on his painting, and at the same time the cat puts the stamp with its paws. Seeing this, Li Fan becomes happy. And he says that you are very smart, you know how to put stamps. And then Li Fan feels something and thinks, damn it! Why did two beautiful women suddenly appear? Oh no, no! The stupidity of cuddling my cat being seen by others. Li Fan asks them, who are you all? So Xiling says, seniors. My name is Nan Feng and this is my sister Xiling. We were passing by this place and were intrigued by the senior paintings, so we couldn't resist coming to see them. And listening to Xiling's words, Li Fan thinks these two little girls came to climb the mountain with painting boards on their backs. Maybe they were art students who came out to make paintings. So, they were impressed by my excellent painting skills, so I deserved to be called a senior. And Li Fan tells both of them in attitude, so that's it, you're also in the same line of work? Then, this is fate. And Xiling says to Li Fan, can I see that painting from closer? So Nan Feng says angrily, why can you ask such a question? And she says to Li Fan, my sister is not involved in world affairs, please seniors to forgive her, if she is rude. But Nan Feng is thinking, Xiling is too stupid. This is an unfathomable great being. Moreover, his paintings definitely contain Tao and are considered to be the greatest treasure. How could a senior be able to easily? And when Nan Feng saw that painting, when she looked at it carefully, she enjoyed it very much, she liked it very much. And within no time its levels start increasing, 5th level of Yuanying, to the 6th level of Yuanying, to 7th level of Yuanying, to 9th level Yuanying, to enhancements. And Nan Feng feels immense strength inside herself, and she says, what a blessing! This painting, oh my god! If he didn't enter the Tsungli Mountains himself, how could he paint it so vividly? Could it be that this senior? And also Nan Feng is thinking, it is said that there is an immortal platform hidden in the Tsungli Mountains, and since ancient times, those who step into the depths of the Tsungli Mountains will either ascend to the immortal realm or die. There is no turning back from the immortal platform of the ages. If not for the reappearance of the three immortals, who has such a skill? This senior. And Li Fan is also thinking, it's worth getting 2 fans at once. But it's too dangerous for 2 young girls to be in the mountains at this late hour. And Xiling thanks Li Fan for letting her see that painting. And Li Fan tells them that there is no need for you to be so polite. And coughing, Li Fan tells them, it's getting dark and you two are in danger if you stay here, there's nowhere else around here, so if you don't mind, you can return to the village with me. And both the girls become happy after listening to Li Fan's words. And she says, can we really follow you? After this, we see that there are dark dense clouds over that village, and thunder is also happening. And 2 demons come to that place who are evil. And one of the demons says, since we are messengers of the evil god, we must remove all obstacles for the evil god. This place feels like a forbidden place. There is no special aura in it. And the second demon says we should go down. And now both those demons are going down fast. And as soon as those demons reach the ground, they feel something. And the first of them, the demon says, what a powerful feel, so powerful that it was difficult for least knight generals to get close. And the second demon says, even scarier than the Lord's closed retreat. But then due to the pressure of that power, that first demon sinks to the ground and says, we are supreme beings. Can't we go in? Just 10 more steps. This seems to be the limit. And the demon looks towards Li Fan's house and says, what kind of place is this? No matter how hard I try, I can't. We must see it. Such an existence, hiding here, is too great a threat to the evil god. And he gets angry and says, even if my demon's soul gets burnt, I will stay ahead. And both of them start increasing their power very much, and move rapidly towards Li Fan's house. And the other demon says, even if I burn my demon's soul, I'll go in. Keep. It's worth dying to send back the things that were left behind at a glance to the evil god. And as soon as both of them are about to reach that place, a very bright light emerges from the front. And a claw comes out from that place which looks very dangerous. And a few moments later, we see the bones of those two demons lying at that place, and some people are flying fast towards that village. And the elder is telling them, this mirror can sense monsters thousands of miles away, the messenger of the evil god. I'm afraid he has arrived at that senior residence. And the other elder says we should go quickly. He first elder says, it's too late, I'm afraid the two of them should have already fought each other, and judging from the reaction of the magic-seeking mirror, the envoy of the evil god is stronger than you and me. I can only hope that senior will survive for a while longer. I'll speed up to help him. And they all quickly reach that village. And the elder is telling them, the magic-seeking mirror shows that the envoy of the evil god has arrived, and there has been an explosion of immortal-level demonic power here. And now they all reach near Li Fan's house. And as they all look ahead, they are surprised to see the bones of those two demons are lying in front of them. And the elder tells them, this is a demon yiksha bone. A what? Demon bone yiksha? Could it be that the two demon generals, but the woman and Linger are unable to understand anything after looking at those bones? What is this thing after all? And the elder tells them, the yiksha bone is something that the yiksha demon general will manifest after he dies. This means that both yiksha demon generals are dead. Dead in front of this senior's door. But both of them still cannot understand anything. So the second elder says, this senior's strength not only surpasses the supreme level, even the immortal level is hard to match. And the first elder also says, it exists like this. No wonder it dares to design and wait for the evil god. And those two elders are thinking, as supreme being in the Holy Land, we are not unreachable immortals, but this. Killing an immortal is easy, one must respect and must not fear. Fellow Taoists, can you introduce the two of us to the seniors as soon as possible? And then Li Fan comes to that place. And says the woman, what are you doing here? And we see Li Fan who is coming with those two girls. And the woman and Linger grid Li Fan, and Li Fan tells them there is no need to be so polite. And also when both of them look at elder Li Fan they say, no, this senior seems to have just returned from outside. Besides, there are no traces of battle at all. Could it be that Demon General Yiksha did not meet this senior? So, how did they die in front of the courtyard door? But then Li Fan gets very angry when he sees the bones of those two demons. And he starts cleaning the bones of those demons and says, who put this trash here? Don't you know how to separate trash? The trash is right in front of my door. And Li Fan cleans the bones of those two demons. And seeing this, both the elders get surprised and think, trash? The immortal level demon General Yiksha will be trash. Then both the elders grids Li Fan. But Li Fan is confused. Who are these two elders? Then Li Fan asks both the elders, what have you all come to this place to do? And also Na Feng is thinking that both these elders are from the highest holy land. Then that second elder says, seniors. Great Tao Sun Map is a powerful work of art in the southern region. Everyone knows about it. We came here to meet you so much. And Li Fan becomes very happy after listening to that elder's words, and is thinking, it seems that Hualinger gained popularity at an auction or somewhere with this painting. Maybe these people came here to buy paintings. Then Li Fan says to both the elders, then, please come with me to the courtyard for a moment to talk. And both of them say to elder Li Fan, please, senior Li, go in first, we dare not leave before you do. And listening to both of them, Li Fan is thinking, these two are very polite. And Li Fan goes ahead and says, it seems that today, the wind is quite strong. And after listening to Li Fan, the second elder thinks, the wind is quite strong. Did this senior mention anything? And as soon as those two elders go inside, they feel a lot of pressure. Feeling this, both are surprised and both are thinking, very strong terrain. Scary. Fortunately, we followed behind Senior Li. If we had barged in, we would have died without a burial place. The terrain here gave me the feeling that it was even more terrifying than the immortal level sect protection formation of the Taiyan Holy Land. The first elder then starts coughing, and the second elder says, why do I feel those two Yiksha demons? Perhaps they were simply killed by the fields here? And as soon as both of them go inside, and see the inside, they become very surprised and say, Is that a flat peach? Really, isn't the flat peach a sacred relic that grows in the immortal realm? And when both of them see that tree, they are very surprised to see that tree. A lot of energy is coming out from inside that tree, and seeing that energy the other elder becomes unconscious. And then Li Fan asks those two elders to sit, and he goes inside his house. Then the second elder says, just one glance almost shakes the foundation of the Tao. This flat peach is truly a divine fruit of the immortal realm. And the first elder says, I'm no better. It's really scary. This flat peach tree most likely already has a spirit. Then Li Fan makes tea and brings it, seeing which both the woman and Linger become happy. And Li Fan gives them tea, and looking at that tea the other elder is thinking, the strongest person like Senior Li actually offered us tea. And both the elders calm down a bit after seeing the woman drinking tea. Then after that the first elder drinks the tea, and a lot of spiritual energy comes out from that tea, due to which a lot of energy starts flowing inside him. And after drinking that tea, both of them become very happy and say, Fellow Taoists, this is the rule. This is a fragment of the rule. Our supreme realm is being perfected. And after drinking that tea, both the elders start crying and say, Our 100 years of suffering is one step ahead today. 1,000 sails on the side of a sinking ship and 1,000 trees in front of a sick tree. And seeing those two elders very happy, Nanfeng gets surprised and asks, What happened to these two? And then both the elders thank Li Fan for his kindness. And Li Fan says to both of them, No need to be so. Meeting each other is fate. What's more, we are all in the same boat. And Li Fan says while taking out the painting from behind him, This is today's work, and you've come a long way to see it, so let's see it. And at the same time Li Fan is thinking, I will show the importance of this painting and sell it for a good price. And Li Fan, while opening the painting, says that everyone should look at it carefully. And everyone gets ready to see that painting. And Li Fan says that I have made this painting today, and as soon as Li Fan opens that painting, it is a very beautiful painting. And when both the elders see that painting, they are very surprised. He bows down after looking at that painting and says, Is this the full view of the Zhenli mountain range? At a glance, the entire Zhenli mountain range is painted alive, and its potential is shown in all its glory, and this painting alone is priceless. And also the both elder are thinking, it seems that Senior Li had known for a long time that we were coming. So, he prepared this painting. No one has ever come out alive after entering the Zhenli mountains, and this painting must have been made by tracing the entire mountain range. Senior Li was able to come out of the Zhenli mountain range in one piece. And Li Fan seeing those two elders like this he thinks, judging from their expressions and reactions, they should be satisfied with this painting, and they can't talk about the price right away, they are afraid that the price will not be what want. Li Fan picks up those two elders and asks them, Do you want this? So the second elder says, With this painting, it will definitely help us stabilize the big crisis. And after listening to that elder Li Fan thinks, a big crisis? Could the two open a painting and calligraphy shop? It seems that the other party's business is in danger, that's why they need a real treasure, to go forward to help. Then Li Fan gives that painting to both of them. And those two elders taking that painting say, It seems that Senior Li intentionally gifted this painting to Lise, so that we could do something? Since the senior has an order, there must be a purpose, we attend it. And listening to those two elders, Li Fan thinks, they both took this painting and didn't pay or ask the price, a bit outrageous. And Li Fan, moving his hand forward, says to the elder, Pay with one hand, deliver with the other, no credit. And after listening to Li Fan, both the elders come a little distance away. And both talk among themselves, and the first elder says, Seniors definitely don't want to get involved in karma. And the second elder says, Yes, the scarier a person is, the more he worries about karma. The Zhenli Mountains is a complicated place for karma, so Senior Li definitely doesn't want to get involved in it, that's why he needs what is called money. In this way, cause and effect are resolved. And the first elder asks, But are spirit stones useful for Senior Li? And the second elder takes out a box from him, and the first elder also. And both of them together start giving those 2 boxes to Li Fan, and he says that this is all we have. And Li Fan becomes happy with that box and thinks, not light. Is it silver or gold? Both are very generous. And Li Fan sits down with both those boxes and says to them, thank you both for coming, and if you need anything else in the future, you can always come to me. And after listening to Li Fan, both the elders think, in the future? It seems like Senior has already predicted what will happen later. He prepared the big picture. And both of them say to Li Fan, thank you, seniors, I am very grateful, and I bid you farewell. I will come back again to pay my respects to seniors next time. And Li Fan says to both of them, okay, then I won't hold you back. And now both those elders are leaving that place. And first the elder says, this senior is really scary. My back is already drenched in sweat. And the second elder says, at first, we underestimated Senior Li to this extent, but now it seems that he is really an immortal, and even the immortal realm is not low. There's even a flat peach, she's probably senior to Xianyu. And both the elders start imaging Li Fan. And think, immortal realm. Throughout history, there were only a handful of heavenly beings who could enter the immortal realm. Now that a master of the immortal realm descended into the mortal world, he must have a big conspiracy. And the first elder says to the second elder, Brother Dao, in his eyes, our 2 holy lands are just pawns. And the second elder says, and not just us? Didn't you see that the 2 girls who followed the seniors with lutes and painting boards on their backs? They are from the 3 supreme holy lands in Zhongzhou. Fellow Taoists, the holy land is a pawn, this chess game. Not just for the southern region. It's hard to imagine how big the handwriting is, and the first elder thinks, the holy land is a pawn. After both of them leave, Linger says to Li Fan, Senior, thank you for the treasure, we are now already in the Hua Empire and have already established our foothold, so we came to report to you. And Li Fan is thinking after listening to her words, standing firm. It seems like they got a good price for the painting I gave them? Maybe they've even opened a shop or something and have a place to live. And Li Fan smilingly says to Linger, that's good for you, work hard, your life will always get better if you are willing to fight. The woman and Linger become very happy after listening to Li Fan. And at the same time both of them are thinking, Senior Li asks us to work well for him so that we can have a bright future. Then the woman says to Li Fan, by the way, Senior, when Luo Ming and Hong Xian get their hands on that precious painting, they will definitely create a storm in the southern region. When the time comes, shall we go? And listening to the woman, Li Fan is smiling and thinking, haha, these people's little thoughts. Luo Ming and the 2 won my painting, they will definitely publicize it. Maybe they will hold calligraphy and painting exhibitions, auctions and the like. They also definitely want to show their face on such occasions and expand their business. So they only ask because they want to get some calligraphy and paintings of themselves to calm the atmosphere. And Li Fan tells them, if you want to leave, you can leave. If you need anything, I will help you. Then Li Fan fills the cup of tea and asks both the girls, what are you guys planning to do today? So Xiling blushes and says, can I learn to paint with you? But Na Feng gets angry after hearing Xiling's words and says to her, bullshit. Xiling, how dare you be so bold? It's a great honor for us to be entertained by seniors today. How could you make such a disrespectful request? And after listening to Na Feng, Xiling becomes silent and lowers her head. And listening to them, Li Fan stands up and thinks, did it bother her? Was she worried that learning to paint would delay her sister's training? It's true, my family listened to worry that I would fall behind in my studies if I kept reading novels. And Na Feng apologizes to Li Fan saying, I'm sorry, senior. Just because Xiling is still very new to this world, she made an excessive request, so please don't take offense. And Na Feng is thinking, Xiling, don't you understand? This senior is the one who killed the Demon King with a painting a few days ago. And then a system notification appears in front of Li Fan, and it is written in it, System Task, Accept and Teach them. Take 2 people as interns. And Li Fan gets a little surprised after seeing the system notification. And Li Fan looks at that task and says, this, can I refuse? But if it really delays their studies. Let's try. And Li Fan coughs and says to both of them, I actually think that learning skills like music and painting outside of school hours is a good thing. If you two can, I would like to accept you both as disciples. And Na Feng gets surprised after hearing Li Fan's words and says, Senior, what you're saying is, accept both of us. And Xiling becomes very happy when she hears this. And Li Fan again asks Na Feng, Na Feng, are you unwilling? And Na Feng bows her head and says to Li Fan, Sorry seniors, it's not that I don't want to, but I'm practicing how to play the lute. While seniors are practicing how to paint. And Nanfeng's talk, Li Fan thinks, this little girl was worried that her major wasn't the right one. And Li Fan smilingly tells him, Can you play your lute for me to hear? And now Na Feng plays the sound, and she plays it very well. And listening to her play, Li Fan is thinking, this girl does have some ability in playing the harp, but she still has her shortcoming. And Xiling becomes happy hearing Nanfeng's sound, and says that you play very well. But Li Fan tells him, Your foundation is not bad, but you are too attached to your fingers, and you have corrupted the spirit for the sake of the form, and that is a big mistake. I'll use your lute to play. And after listening to Li Fan, Na Feng is thinking, Senior, not only do you know how to paint, but you also know how to play the lute? And Na Feng says to Li Fan, When I was in the holy land of Sandal, Master said that I was not good at strumming the lute, so I should continue to strengthen my strumming. Why did Senior Li say that I was too attached to the strumming of the lute? And Li Fan drinks the tea and says, Great dexterity, heavy sword, listen to this song of mine. And Li Fan plays a song, which is very melodious. And Na Feng gets surprised after hearing that. And she starts imagining that song and thinks, very smooth. This is the feeling of enlightenment. And Li Fan plays, a song that breaks my heart. Where can I find my soulmate? And after listening to that song, tears start flowing from Nanfeng's eyes, and she says happily, with this song, Na Feng will die without regrets. And now Li Fan asks Na Feng, How? Now will you be my disciple? And both Na Feng and Xiling agree. And with that Li Fan's task is completed. And tells them that from now on you all will stay here. And those people also say thank you to Li Fan. And Li Fan starts leaving and is thinking, this is one step closer to becoming a cultivator. I really don't know how long it will be before I become a cultivator. Perhaps, I'm destined to be an ordinary person. After this, we are shown a scene from another location. And this place is Taiyan Holy Land. And we see the same two elders. Those who are moving forward, and two masters come in front of them. And the first master is Taiyan Holy Land Master, Spiritual Supreme. And the second master is Xiang Holy Land Master, Yuanyang Supreme. And the first master says, looking at this Tao painting, I understand why the Sunli Mountains are a forbidden place. It seems like this is really a powerful immortal from the lower realms. Then the second master says, that's right. Viewed from a Tao painting, these Sunli Mountains are a magnificent immortal formation. 10,000 mountains fused together to form a dragon. How marvelous! What an incredible move! I'm afraid this senior is planning to explore the entire Sunli Mountain range. But this senior has even given away Tao paintings. What exactly does he want to do? After listening to both of them, the second elder says to them, Two honorable holy masters. From my point of view, this senior was really calculating, as he had given us the Tao map. It must have been to make it easier for Lise to get into the Sunli Mountains. This also means that big changes in the Sunli Mountains are likely to happen. And then a soldier comes running to that place. And says nervously, in the Sunli Mountains, the earth cracked and beasts appeared, something undetectable had come out. And we see a dangerous dragon, which is coming out of the mountain. And a lot of thunder is falling at that place. And even the cat gets scared after seeing that thunder. And at the same time Li Fan wakes up after hearing the sound of thunder, and he says in his sleep, Why is there a rumbling sound? Is it going to rain? The next day, Li Fan wakes up and feels much fresher. And Xiling and Na Feng come in front of him, and say good morning to Li Fan. Na Feng comes forward and says to Li Fan, Master, we want to get some water to wash our faces, but, and Li Fan tells Na Feng, leave it to me. And Li Fan now goes towards the well, and at the same time a lot of spiritual energy is coming out from that well. And looking at that well they both say, "But I only saw a holy spring glishing from the ground in the courtyard, so I guess it was listed by the master for cultivation and should not be polluted." Yes. The holy aura of the spring can almost solidify into a solid object, so I'm afraid only the highest level can enjoy it. And Li Fan takes out water from that well and tells them to heat this water before using it. Then wash your face after that. And both of them get very surprised after seeing that water. Both of them think this is holy spring water. And when Li Fan gives that water to the chicken also, both of them get more surprised after seeing this. And Xiling says to Na Feng, "Sis, the teacher said that the firewood he cut was not the black wood that was there. And when both of them wash their faces with that holy water, their skin starts glowing, and their skin becomes very soft." And Xiling says to Na Feng, "Sister, can I drink this water?" And hearing this, Na Feng gets angry and says, "Don't embarrass the master. Xiling, us, we must forget the poor life we lived in the Holy Land before." Then Li Fan calls both of them for breakfast. And when both of them come forward, they are very surprised to see the breakfast, and the facial reaction of both of them also changes, and Xiling says, "This is what the teacher said. A vegetable field? This is all holy medicine. Such a vegetable field, no wonder it needs to be irrigated with holy spring water." Now both of them come to Li Fan, and Li Fan is giving them chopsticks. Says, "The chickens haven't been laying many eggs lately, so we'll have to start eating with vegetable porridge first, since we don't have any eggs, so we'll make do with what we have." But both of them are shocked. And then Na Feng is trembling and she says, "A bowl of this porridge is a very potent medicine. Even a leaf or root would be treasured and considered a sacred object in the 3 highest holy lands." And the little white cat also comes to that place. And Li Fan caresses him with that love. And now Na Feng is ready to have breakfast, and both of them start eating breakfast just like a cat. And Li Fan tells them to eat slowly. "I have more." And when they eat that breakfast, it feels like heaven. And Xiling asks for more from Li Fan and also does Na Feng. And seeing this the little white cat gets surprised and thinks that he is very hungry. And after some time, both of them are very happy after eating breakfast. All 3 are full. Then when they see Li Fan, they get a little surprised. Li Fan is feeding the chickens and Xiling says to Na Feng, "Sis, why do I feel a bit strange about this free-range chicken? What the master is feeding is definitely not a mortal species, most likely some kind of beast, right? Did you not notice that what the master used to feed the chickens was all holy medicine?" Then Li Fan comes to Xiling and Li Fan has an egg in his hand, but it is not an ordinary egg. There's a phoenix inside it, and Li Fan says to Xiling, "Since you guys are full, it's time to practice. Xiling, your task today is to draw this egg." And Xiling catches that egg, and starts looking at it carefully and says, "I felt like I was holding something extraordinary." And Na Feng looks at that egg and says, "This egg contains boundless fire spirit energy, like a dormant volcano, and on top of the eggshell, there is a faint flame-colored phoenix pattern. What kind of egg is this? The master seemed to say that she often eats eggs like this." And Li Fan from the front asks Xiling, "How's that? Don't want to? Do you think painting eggs is easy?" Li Fan starts learning Xiling about painting and says, "The most important thing in painting is basic skill, and basic skill, in fact, is what allows you to see through phenomena to the essence. If a simple egg can be painted tens of thousands of times by you, then you must truly understand the subject. Then, you must be able to truly see the subject as if it were your own." Xiling starts bowing before Li Fan and says, Xiling knew that Xiling was wrong. And just then, someone knocks on Li Fan's door. Li Fan goes in front and opens the door. And he sees that his aunt is there and his aunt tells Li Fan, "Xiao Li, let me tell you, there was an earthquake last night. Many mountains have collapsed. Only our village didn't move at all. Amazing. Many birds and animals in the mountains die at the entrance of the village. It's all first-class animals, and the meat is delicious. It's just that the skin is thick, and everyone's steel knives are destroyed. Fortunately you gave me a kitchen knife before. The kitchen knife works. I'll cut it all off and I'll send you the hind legs." And when all three of them hear that an earthquake had occurred, both of them get extremely shocked. And Li Fan is also surprised. How can an earthquake hit this mountain? Next, we see a flying ship heading towards Sunli Mountain. And there are two people on that flying ship, who belong to Xiling and Nanfeng sect. And the first man among them says, Brother Tai Ming, when the Sunli Mountains are completely opened, the holy relics left behind by our ancestors will definitely come out. But the other man tells him, I said why old Ghost Emos sent his two female disciples here before. It turned out that they wanted to take the holy relic for themselves. And the first man smiles and says, Brother, you worry too much. What kind of storm can two small cultivators in the interference stage cause? Ao Ming, Zhu Xian, you two lead the people to find Nan Feng and Ziling, and bring them back to the sect, dead or alive. And now Li Fan and those two girls come to the village. And she is surprised to see the village, because a lot of disasters have happened at this place. Many spirit beasts are dead at this place, seeing which both the girls are very surprised. And is a little nervous. But Nan Feng tells Xiling, with a master around, even natural disasters won't dare to come close. Haven't you noticed? With a radius of thousands of miles, only the small mountain village was still intact. Even the villagers slept soundly through the night, not knowing what was happening outside. And many powerful beasts are dead at this place. And when Xiling sees that the villagers are cutting that big tortoise very easily, she is surprised to see it, because it is not a common beast. It is a spirit beast, which is a high-level beast. And all the villagers are cutting that turtle with the kitchen knife made by Li Fan. And seeing this, Xiling says nervously, This is too brutal, mammoth beast, great green rock Sanyuan turtle. These are all sub-level spirit beasts, and now, ordinary villagers can use them to fill their stomachs? And Xiling thinks about Li Fan, the blessing of absolute power. All beings are blessed and everyone is equal. I am enlightened. All this is because of my master. And Li Fan is in deep thought. He's wondering, how do these earthquakes happen? Similarly, where there are mountains, there are continental plates that can be crushed. Fortunately, this village is fine. It's a place chosen by the system, so it must be the safest place. And just then, the village elder comes to that place and asks Li Fan, You have a lot of knowledge, what do you think is going on here? Nothing will happen to us here, right? And Li Fan smilingly tells the village elder that there is no need to worry, our village is safe. And hearing this, both the girls become happy. And just then, Xiling and Na Feng hear someone calling, that too loudly. And we see, a flying ship is coming to that place. And there are two cultivators on this flying ship, who have come to kill Xiling and Na Feng. And seeing them both, the girls become alert. But Na Feng says, Master, we were originally disciples of the three holy lands. Not long ago, our original master was framed, so we were ordered to come to Mount Sunli to seek help. And Li Fan also listens to Na Feng and says, Three holy lands? What are they? So Na Feng tells Li Fan, Our holy land. The patriarch of this sect was quite prominent in the three disciplines of music, painting and calligraphy, and all disciples practiced all three. And hearing this, Li Fan is thinking, this is a school made of literary and artistic youth. Why are they so angry? They're also yelling. Do they think I brought naughty children here to play around? I'm already a famous tutor at this level. I'll show them what I'm capable of. And now those two cultivators are moving rapidly downwards, to catch those two girls. But then, a woman cuts the beast with a kitchen knife made by Li Fan, and they both stop when they see this. And sweat starts falling from their foreheads, and both of them get scared. And run back to their flying ship. Both of them have realized a very dangerous power. And now both of them reach their flying ship and say, Start the ship, hurry up and get out of here. The cultivator is very nervous and says, That knife. Even the Sanyuan tortoise shell, which could not be broken by the so-called Supreme Being, was like tofu crumbs under that knife. This place is scary. It's not something we can handle. And those two cultivators start running away from this place in their flying ship. And seeing them going, Li Fan is also surprised. Why are they going? Seeing this, Xiling becomes happy and looks at Li Fan with great pride. And both of them are thinking, we have a master here. We need not fear them. With a master here, even the highest beings can't do anything. Speaking of reasons, I'm afraid your majesty is not qualified to bear them. Then we see those two men. One of the men says, our two disciples are coming back. Then the other man says, guess the hidden danger has been solved and the items left behind by our ancestors are only available to our heirs. But those two disciples come very fast to these two from their flying ship and say, Master, something big has happened. And a disciple, being very nervous, says to both of them, Na Feng and Xiling entered the forbidden place. The forbidden place is too scary. The old woman cut the San Yuan turtle with one knife. That kitchen knife contains a great aura. Just by looking at it from a distance, it gives me a sense of deadly threat. If I get close, I'm afraid I'll be crushed. The Forbidden Land was not affected at all by the great changes on Mount Sungli. This is terrible. Hearing that disciple's words, the man gets angry and says, what kind of useless things can you say? Looks like we'll have to do it ourselves. And the other man says, it's strange that this place is still undamaged when the Sungli Mountains have collapsed. And the first man feels something. I can't feel the slightest difference. So let's dive in and explore first. And the second man smiles and says, I want to see what kind of character dares to accept those two rebels and fight against our Sanju Holy Land. And that man sounds very loudly, Na Feng and Xiling. Two rebels, come out and die. And when they both hear that voice, they understand who it is. And Na Feng says, no. It was the Elder Shirtai's voice. And seeing both of them nervous, Li Fan asks Xiling, Elder Shirtai. It sounds like a high level, so it's an elder? And Xiling tells Li Fan that they are coming. And hearing this, Li Fan thinks the teacher is too aggressive. It looks like she's going to physically punish the student, which is not good. And Li Fan says to both of them, no problem, I will confer with them. What have they taught you too? Na Feng tells Li Fan about both of them. Elder Shirtai is proficient in calligraphy, and Elder Tai Ming, who is proficient in music and his instrument is the flute. And hearing this, Li Fan starts laughing and thinks, music? Calligraphy? That's all I'm good at. Then Li Fan takes out the brush and says, I got it, wait a minute. But Xiling and Na Feng get scared after seeing that brush of Li Fan, and Xiling says, why do I feel that what the teacher holds in his hand is not a brush, but a peerless sword? And Na Feng also says, what realm is this when the brushes are aligned? And Li Fan says to Xiling, take this calligraphy and frame it above the courtyard door. And at the same time Li Fan is thinking happily, let's start by naming the page something that has a strong learning atmosphere so they don't get the wrong idea when they see it. And then, that other man comes to that place, and says through gritted teeth, it's him. The rebels are indeed here. Xiling, you're really here. Where's Na Feng? Why don't you two immediately follow me back to the Holy Land and apologize? But Xiling tells that man, Sister Na Feng and I have taken Senior Li as our teacher, so don't be presumptuous. And hearing Xiling's words, the man gets angry and quickly moves forward to attack Xiling, and also takes out his brush. Ridiculous. How dare you quit the sect today? I'll clean up the sect today. But as soon as the man goes ahead, Xiling shows the calligraphy written by Li Fan to the elder, seeing which the man stops there. And seeing that calligraphy his eyes start bleeding. And he says in surprise, thinking and learning? There is no limit to the sea of thought, and cultivators are all boats, struggling to seek the laws of this world. Seeking heaven and earth outside, and seeking a genuine heart inside. Is my heart genuine? Then the first man comes behind him. And seeing the condition of the second man, that man says, close your eyes now. This is the path of the saints, you don't need to look any further. If you look any further, you'll die. And the other man says, it's enough to die in the morning. Brother, I have seen the best calligraphy. And the second man starts running like crazy, and seeing this the first man says, has he gone crazy? Then he says angrily, Xiling, what kind of existence is behind you? And Xiling is putting that calligraphy on the wall, and she says to that man, you're not qualified to know who my teacher is. But then, the man hears a sound, hearing which he stops right there. And hearing that voice, he starts imagining, the great river flows to the east, and the waves sweep away all the romantic figures of all time. And hearing that voice, the man starts disappearing and says, brother, I hear the Tao in the morning, and I will die in the evening, I realize it. And in a few moments he disappears. And only his flute survives at that place. And on top of that, both the disciples are watching all this, and seeing this, both of them become very surprised and say, how is that possible? Here Tao Transformation Supreme Tai Ming, one of the most promising immortals in the holy land of Sandal, he has passed away. Then Li Fan comes out of his house, starts looking around and asks, have those people gone? And Xiling picks up that flute from the ground and gets very surprised to see that flute, and says, this is Elder Tai Ming's weapon. In general, that person plays the flute and... But Li Fan, he directly says to Xiling, throw it away, the weapon has already been blown by her, and it's full of her salivating aura. And Li Fan is thinking while going ahead, and what kind of flute is made of iron? It sounds like a whistle. A teacher like this, no wonder his student came here to make a scene. Then we see the cultivator holding the talisman in his hand, and he breaks the talisman. And seeing this, the other cultivator gets surprised, and says to that cultivator, brother, this is a jade talisman from the Holy Land. I will inform the patriarch and all the supreme elders of the situation here. But there the cultivator answers him, that's 2 elders. One dead and one crazy. Isn't that pretty serious? And now energy starts emanating from that talisman, and that energy takes the form of an elder. And the man says, what's the problem? So he tells the cultivator, patriarch, 2 rebels, Na Feng and Ziling, have rebelled against the sect and joined with others to kill Elder Tai Ming, and Elder Shirtai was nowhere to be found. I appealed to the great elders to provide immediate support to kill those rebels to avenge the death of Elder Tai Ming. And the elder says, I understand. After this, the scene shifts and we see Holy Land of Sanju, and there are some people sitting at this place, and one of them says, Chairman, with such a powerful existence, do we really want to avenge the great elder? And the chairman says to him, isn't it too early to launch an outright holy war before we know what is going on? And another guy says, did the 2 trash die at the foot of Mount Sunli? I remember that the Eternal Ascension platform in the Sunli Mountains is about to open, and underneath, there are tons of treasures left behind by our predecessors when they ascended into eternity. After this, the women, Linger and the old man come to that place. And read the calligraphy written on the wall, think and learn. So dominant, so spontaneous. And seeing that calligraphy, the old man becomes very surprised and says, just by looking at it, I feel an unimaginable aura. If a sword cultivator came here, I'm afraid he would be able to understand the supreme sword technique of this calligraphy. And now all 3 of them go inside Li Fan's house and bow and say, Senior, Qian Ning and the others come to welcome you. And Li Fan is happy to see all 3 of them, and calls them to him. And all 3 bow down after seeing Li Fan. And Li Fan says to them, I assume that your visit is related to what Luo Ming and the others are going to do, right? And Linger asks Li Fan, Seniors, do you have any suggestions for us this time? And listening to Linger, Li Fan tells her, it's okay, just calm down, don't be too nervous, things like this don't need to be worried about. But since you're here, I'll give you something. The last time I gave Luo Ming's 10,000 mountain dragon painting to them, I guess they were having a calligraphy and painting exhibition, auction or something, and now, it looks like that calligraphy and painting exhibition is about to start, so since that's the case, I'll just go along and help them out again. And in Li Fan's style, he pulls something out from beside him and says, this is the paper ink. The sword that shatters the sky. And both are surprised to see that paper. And also Li Fan gives the immortal palace, and says to them, this time, you will leave with this book and painting. Since they want to show the world this time, let's show the world what real writing and painting is all about. And the women and Linger take those 2 items, and start leaving from there. And Linger says to the women, with these 2 supreme treasures of Senior Li, even though the Tsungli Mountains are dangerous, we need not be afraid to enter. And the woman happily says, well done. Let's go and support the holy land of Taiyan and Xiang. After this, the scene shifts, and we see another place. At this place another elder sits down tiredly. And also the first elder is there at that place. And the second elder tells him, sacrificing the Holy Land's quasi-immortal weapon finally stabilized the situation. A few days into the Tsungli Mountains, our two Holy Land allied forces have suffered many deaths and injuries. And the first elder says, yes, and many of the great dangers in the Tsunli Mountains no longer exist after its collapse. But this remaining part is just as thrilling. And just then, the second elder's sword starts moving, which surprises the second elder. And then, some affair happens in front of them, seeing which all the people are shocked. And an immortal platform opens at this place, and a man is moving forward towards that immortal platform. And just then, a bright light emanates from the immortal door, which directly hits the man, causing him to turn into a stone. And we see, there were many such people at that place, who are now made of stone. And just then, the masters of the Holy Land come to that place, and the second master among them is surprised to see this and says, the next allied army cannot enter. Only the Supreme can step into this place, and the light of eternal tribulation ahead is the most real test. Even the slightest imperfection will be turned into clay and returned to dust by the light of eternal tribulation. All those here are dead supreme beings. Among them, there are even quasi-immortals. And the first master also says, the light of eternal tribulation is a great test for supreme beings, and only if you can withstand the slash of the light of eternal tribulation, can you ascend to the immortal platform and enter the immortal realm. Otherwise, in the end it will be empty. And then suddenly, an evil energy passes between the two masters, seeing which both the masters are shocked. And that evil energy starts gathering in one place. And at that place the evil god appears, and that evil god says to all of them, even you bunch of ants want to take the immortal chance, today, I will fulfill you. And using his evil energy, the evil god makes a menacing face over the sky. And he takes out a lot of his hands, and they all have different kinds of weapons in their hands. And the second master says to that evil god, do you want to eat us? And then, the first master is about to use his secret plate, and attacks that evil god with his secret plate, and the first master says to that evil god, today, all the supreme beings in the southern regions are gathered here. I won't let you leave so easily. But the first master's attack makes no difference to that evil god. And that evil god starts laughing, just like crazy. And then, the evil god attacks both the masters, seeing which both of them are shocked, and they do not understand that after all, what should both of them do now? And just then, Linga arrives there, and she has also brought the immortal palace with her, due to which both the masters are saved. And now because of that immortal palace, everyone is saved from the attack of that evil god. But when they all are in the immortal palace, they are very surprised to see the immortal palace, and they all say, what is this palace? Why do I feel? I'm so small myself. This palace contains the immortal Tao laws, and even more fire-related Tao laws are everywhere. Could this be a real immortal artifact? And at the same time, this immortal palace is also able to block the light of that immortal door. And seeing this, they all become even more surprised. And the second master says, what is this treasure? It can block the light of eternal tribulation. And Linga says to those two masters, everyone, the light of eternal tribulation has been shattered, we can go out and kill the evil god. And both of them turn back and look at Linga, then to her they both say, I had heard that behind the Hua Empire there was an existence that surpassed supreme beings, and now that I had seen it, it turned out to be true. May I ask you, girl, has such an existence become immortal? And those two elders are getting nervous and thinking, immortal? That person is a being who can kill immortals without even lifting a finger. And just then, a beautiful girl arrives at that place, whose name is Jiang Shui. And she says to Linga, can I see this holy palace? And by the way, where did you get it? And as soon as both the masters see that girl, both of them get scared and think, such a terrifying aura. Her realm is above supreme beings. Her aura is no less than that of an evil god. And the second elder comes to Linga and bowing down tells her, no, this is an immortal artifact, you can't fake it easily. And Linga says to Jiang Shui, this thing was a gift from my senior. And Jiang Shui says comfortably, don't worry, I don't have the guts to offend the owner of this artifact. And Jiang Shui sees that holy palace, looks at it carefully, then she climbs into the immortal platform. And while leaving she says to Linga, there are great opportunities on the immortal platform, but there are also great dangers. I want to prevent you from this, but since there is a supreme being behind you, I don't think there is anything wrong. If there is time, after becoming an immortal, I will visit this holy palace master again. Now Jiang Shui is walking on the immortal platform, and at a distance from her is also the evil god, who is just about to arrive. And he looks back at Jiang Shui and says to her, I'm just one step away from becoming immortal. Who can stop me? Jiang Shui stares at that evil god and says, You don't know anything about that senior power. And again that light comes from that immortal door, but that evil god does not care about it, and he says, I don't care. I'm an immortal once I'm on top. Can he still behead an immortal? The spiritual power within this throne transforms into immortal power. And when the second master sees this thing, he is surprised to see it. And he shouts, he can purify everything. He becomes immortal. And that immortal light also falls on Jiang Shui, but it does not do anything to Jiang Shui. And she says to Linger, Miss, my name is Jiang Shui. Please tell that senior that I'm willing to take the lead to kill the evil god. And now all the cultivators move forward to climb onto that immortal platform. And he all says, even evil gods can become immortal. Is this the opening of the path to immortality? This is the biggest opportunity in thousands of years. Finally, the heavens will not let us cultivators down. And now Linger and the women are a little tense, and the women says to Linger, Sister, what should we do now? The evil god has become an immortal. But Linger says to the women, Believe in Senior Li, even if he becomes an immortal, he is also nothing to be afraid of. And now that evil god has become immortal, and now he transforms and says, I will become immortal. The breath of the immortal Tao flows through my body. And then we see a man, sitting above the clouds, fishing, and he is saying, the fish are all in the net and ready to be pulled. And then, that man with that fishing rod, that evil the man starts absorbing God's energy, seeing which he starts shouting evil God, and at the same time the man also starts absorbing Jiang Shui's power. And it's getting really bad, and she says, this is not an opportunity at all, it is a trap. The Immortal Ascension platform is governed by the Immortal Domain. Are you not afraid of the sanctions from the Immortal Domain if you act in a reckless manner? And we see the man who is absorbing the power of all of them, and the old man who is missing a tooth. He smiles and says to them all, when all the ants in this world turn into Bonikaku, the world tree will become something rootless that can be easily obtained. This army of mine will completely conquer the border of the southern region of the Xiantian realm. And the man starts increasing his power further, which hurts Jiang Shui a lot. And his immortal blood, he starts flying in the air. And then, someone comes to that place and says, who has alerted the lower realms to the Immortal Ascension platform? And a man tells the immortal, this person has set up a killer trap on the Immortal Ascension platform to kill us. Please, the immortal realm brings justice. And hearing this the immortal says, who are you? Do you want to challenge the immortal realm by committing murder on the Immortal Ascension platform? But it doesn't make any difference to that man. And that man directly attacks that immortal and says to him, just a small sect without a name, and worthy of representing the immortal domain? How dare a small projection of immortals behave like that? And because of that man's power, the immortal disappears from that place. And the man says, with my original body here, no matter how much projection there is, it's still no match for this immortality. What other tricks do you have against me? Take them all out. And seeing this, Jiang Shui gets very angry and shouts, oh my God! How could such an evil person be an immortal? The foundation of our southern region is now extinct. Both the immortal realm and the Black Hand have appeared, and that one. Have you done anything yet? We see Linger, who is very excited, and she is thinking, Senior Li, we're ready. I thought Senior was trying to kill an evil god, but now I realize that Senior's target is actually an immortal. And the sword and tent paper, given by Li Fan, surrounds the man, seeing whom he gets shocked and says, This was a powerful sword intent. How sect? And just then, a huge sword appears from the sky, seeing which the man becomes very nervous. And Linger comes behind that man and says to him, before kneeling down, greet Senior Li's sword intent. But the man gets angry when he hears Linger's words and he says, I am truly immortal. Who can bring me to my knees? But just then, the man is brought to his knees by the pressure of that sword. And that sword kills the man on the spot. And at that place, only that big sword remains. And also that evil god is also dead, seeing which Jiang Shui becomes happy and says, the moment the sword intent came out, the evil god disappeared. After this, we are shown a scene from somewhere else in this place is, the southern region border of the Xiantian realm. And at this place there are many soldiers surrounding just one man. And that man is very injured by fighting them all. And he says, none of the immortals are willing to support the southern border. The people at the border of the southern territory a blind eye to this. Just because one generation of southern region immortal kings had defeated them all. O immortal king! Why haven't you returned yet? And when that man says loudly die. As soon as he says this, a bright light shines at that place, due to which all the soldiers present at that place are killed in one stroke. This power is none other than the power of sword intention, because of which all of them are killed. And the man cries and says, congratulations. The immortal king. Is that you? Apparently you still remember us, your subordinates. After this, we come back to Linger, who is very happy and she is saying, immortal bloodshed, quasi-immortal kneeling. This is just one of Senior Li's words. Everyone greets Linger, and Linger says to all of them, please stand up, all of this is Senior Li's work, and I only work for Senior Li. And Jiang Shui comes forward and she says to Linger, the true god was punished, and the sword pierced the southern territory. What incredible courage! And Jiang Shui asks Linger, goddess, can you take me to see Senior Li? And the second elder also says, goddess, if possible, I would also like to meet Senior Li. And looking at that girl, the woman is thinking, these masters of the Holy Land and women are the generation that will become immortal. Then Linger asks the women, this Jian Ning, what do you think? And the woman says, Senior Li is very fond of quiet and ordinary life, and I don't think he wants to be disturbed. However, we can directly ask Senior Li if he allows it or not. And both those masters also say, of course. What that senior figure looks like we'll see. And that master comes out with a treasure and gives it to them and says, Holy Messenger, all these lands are the blood of true immortals. This is an incredible treasure, can we collect it? Second master says, Master, this senior. Aren't you asking for payment? And the first master smiles and says, Yes. That's right. If you can use true immortal blood to refine it, you might become an immortal directly. And Jiang Shui says, I have seen the peerless true immortal path, and the rest is dust. And then two lights shine at that place, seeing which both the masters are surprised. And when both of them look at him carefully, they get surprised. And the second master says, This is a lute and pen from the Holy Land of Sanju. Legend has it that after becoming immortal, the three immortal gods did not take their immortal weapons to the immortal realm, but left them in the Xiantian realm for future generations. And at the same time Jiang Shui is also looking at those two treasures and she says, No wonder the Sanju Holy Land in central Zhongzhou mobilizes its troops to come to the southern region. Here's why. After this, the scene shifts, and we see a different place. A whole army has come to this place, and one of them, a man sitting on a crow, says, I am from the sacred land of Sanju, come for revenge. Are the criminals who harmed the two supreme beings, Tai Ming and Shi Tai, at the front? And a soldier says to the man, Lords, the two supreme beings, Tai Ming and Shi Tai, are transforming in the small village ahead. After this, the scene shifts, in front is Li's senior residence. And everyone has come to that place to meet Li Fan. And Jiang Shui looks at the word written on that calligraphy and she says, think and learn is dangerous. With a sword that shatters the skies of the southern region like lifting up the world. The domineering chi that flows into the universe is different, and contains the great wisdom of entering the Tao, which is mysterious and elusive. And the woman knocks on the door and Li Fan hears a voice. And Li Fan says from inside, You guys come inside. Then both of them come forward and bow before Li Fan. And Li Fan says to them, How is it going? Did everything go well? And also Li Fan is thinking about looking at both of them, with his own paintings and calligraphy. I don't think this big exhibition auction is too bad. And the women and Linger say to Li Fan, Thanks for the calligraphy and painting, everything went well. In addition, we were also given 2 take-home items specifically for seniors. Next we see Nafone, whose lute's string breaks, then she appears in front of Li Fan and shows the lute, and she says, after the ancestors left thousands of years ago, we have been searching for this lute and pen. Our holy land has searched for them for years without finding them. Li Fan looks at a treasure given by Linger and he says, so this is an antique from thousands of years ago. It must be very expensive, right? And also Li Fan is thinking, it seems that Linger and the others have already started making money from their business, and they even specifically searched for antiques to give to me. Then Li Fan says to both of them, in that case, thank you very much, Nefeng Xiling, since these 2 items are destined for you, you may accept them. And he is also thinking, although it is an antique from thousands of years ago, the quality and texture. Really too ordinary. Li Fan gives both those treasures to both of them, due to which both of them become very happy and say thank you to Li Fan. Then the woman comes forward and says to Li Fan, by the way, senior, there are some people outside. They are also involved in this matter and they want to come and visit you. I wonder if you are willing to receive them? And hearing this, Li Fan starts thinking, it seems that by giving Linger calligraphy and paintings this time, it must have attracted their attention again at the painting and calligraphy exhibition. Is this considered popular? And Li Fan says to the women, all right, invite them in. And all 3 of them also become happy when they come to know that Li Fan has said yes to them coming inside. Then all 3 come inside, and Jiang Shui goes directly to Li Fan, and says to him, Immortal Tao. The Supreme Immortal Tao, here it is. And here both the masters are looking around, and those people are saying, what a frightening aura. It's as if everywhere is filled with such a terrifying presence, I feel like an ant. Then Jiang Shui kneels down in front of Li Fan, seeing which Li Fan gets very surprised. And he says to her, girl, what are you doing? And seeing this, Li Fan is thinking, what is this situation? Kneeling when we meet? These calligraphy enthusiasts are really exaggerating one after another. Both those elders also bow down in front of Li Fan, seeing which Linger and the women both are thinking. The identities of the 3 are among the highest in the entire Xiantian realm. A quasi-immortal and 2 holy masters. And Li Fan says to all 3 of them, I'm just an expert in some small things. How dare I accept such praise from all of you? And the second master says to Li Fan, Senior is a great master of his craft, a calligrapher, making me kneel down. Now that I can see Senior, even if I die, I won't regret it. And Jiang Shui gets up and says to Li Fan, Senior, can I follow you and listen to your teachings? And after listening to Jiang Shui, Li Fan is thinking, why are there other apprentices? Why are you interested in being my apprentice? Then the woman comes to Li Fan and she says to Li Fan, Senior, this time, thanks to his help, they even let go of the great opportunity to come and ask seniors for advice. And Li Fan says to Jiang Shui, I will not accept any more disciples for now, but since you have a strong heart in Taoism, I might explain to you what you want to ask? And when Jiang Shui hears this, she gets shocked, and she is thinking, to get answers from such a person. What a precious opportunity. What should I ask? I have to think of something. And Li Fan puts his hand on Jiang Shui's shoulder and says, don't be nervous, meeting is destiny, just ask whatever you want. But Li Fan is thinking, I have the same mindset when I study, and if I have to ask a teacher, I have to think twice about doing so, for fear that the teacher will think I'm stupid. And Jiang Shui asks a question to Li Fan, may I ask seniors, immortals? What is that? And both the masters get surprised after hearing Jiang Shui's question. And Li Fan is thinking in a deep look, immortal? I am not a cultivator, and what they obviously ask about is the field of calligraphy and painting. And at that place, peace prevails for some time. Everyone wants to hear Li Fan's answer. Then, Li Fan answers, immortals are living beings. A blade of grass, a grain of sand, a chicken. Everything is eternal. To the naked eye, nature looks ordinary, but true transcendence, true eternity, is hidden within the ordinary. If you want to understand what is white, you must understand what is black. If you want to understand what is right, you must understand what is wrong. If you want to understand what is eternal, you must understand what is transitory. And after listening to Li Fan's answer, Jiang Shui says, is this the reason why the ancestors hide in ordinary places? And at the same time she is thinking, after I became quasi-immortal, I have been hiding in the deep ice waiting for a chance to become immortal, thinking that only in this way can I cultivate a pure and pure heart of immortality. Have I taken the wrong path? To understand what is white, I must first understand what is black. If I want to understand what is eternal, I must understand what is transitory. Well, I think I got it. Then, Li Fan tells Jiang Shui, this is the reason why I always ask Xiling to paint eggs. Calligraphy or painting, the only way to enter this Taoism is to see the laws of stone-skinned objects. And now Jiang Shui is satisfied with Li Fan's answer. And Jiang Shui thanks Li Fan, and Li Fan tells her, it's just an answer, no need to thank, don't just stand there. I have some new peaches in my yard today, so I'll treat you all. After this, when they see the peach tree, they are very surprised, especially the master. And Jiang Shui also gets shocked after seeing that peach tree. And the second master says, is this a peach tree? Such treasures only exist in the eternal realm, and we actually have a chance to taste them. And when Jiang Shui looks in front, the women, Linger, Na Feng and Xiling, both of them have sat near the table to eat that peach fruit. And Li Fan has brought lots of peach tree fruits for all of them. And he says to all of them, I planted this peach tree with my own hands, and this is the first time it has borne fruit this year. I don't know how it feels, so let's experience it. And everyone thanks Li Fan, and Li Fan tells them, it's just a plate of peaches, and we are told this. The peach tree planted by such people, although it is a fruit, is not. If the skin of the fruit falls into the outside world, it will cause earth-shaking consequences. And now everyone is eating all those peach fruits together, and enjoying that peach fruit very much. After this, the second master rejoices and says, fellow Taoists, I've become quasi-immortal. And the first master also tells him, me too. From the supreme realm to the quasi-immortal realm, we've finally advanced. Thank you for the profound blessings that Senior Li has bestowed upon us. The rhythm of the Tao flows, and the immortal spirit energy evolves into the rules of the Tao. And now Jiang Shui has become an immortal. And seeing this, both of them also understand and say, immortal? There has been nothing immortal in the Xiantian realm for thousands of years. Giving peaches at will make an eternity. Senior Li, what a generous gesture. Then Jiang Shui goes to Li Fan, and kneels down in front of him again, and said to Li Fan, Senior's great kindness, Jiang Shui will never forget it. And Li Fan makes Jiang Shui stand and tells her, just a few peaches, it's okay, hurry up and get up. And at the same time both the masters also say, Senior, this matter is over, I don't know what to do next, what more do you want? Even if it's a mountain of knives or a pot of oil, we will never delay if you give the order. Li Fan gets a little confused and says to them, thank you, there will be more things like this in the future, this is just the beginning, take care of Qianning and others. And at the same time Li Fan is thinking, Mu Qianning and the others are really too pitiful, they are almost beggars, and Huolinger has such a miserable life experience, I really can't bear to see them like this, so please if you can, there are many more things like this. Could it be that this time, the count of many Supreme Realm and Quasi-Immortal Realm cultivators in the southern region will happen again? And when the first elder listens to Li Fan, he gets a little surprised and says, it seems that Senior Li's chess game is not over yet, and he told us to communicate with Mu Jianing and others in due course when we encounter such problems in the future. And then someone says, the Holy Land of Sanju has arrived, and hearing this the first master is also surprised, and Li Fan hearing this says, those literature and art lovers came again, so they didn't want to give up? This Holy Land of Sanju is too annoying. And Li Fan is thinking, it's understandable that disciples like Na Feng and Xiling get angry when their resources are taken away from them. But this once or twice, I don't know when it will end. And when Na Feng listens to Li Fan, she gets shocked and thinks, annoying? Senior Li actually said something like that? Holy Land of Sanju. The end of your history. Then Jiang Shui comes to Li Fan and says to him, Senior, can I send them away for you? And listening to Jiang Shui, Li Fan starts thinking, Jiang to deal with them. Then Li Fan says to Jiang Shui, in that case, thank you, I really don't want to meet these people again. And when both Xiling and Na Feng hear this, they get a huge shock. And Xiling says to Na Feng's sister, how could the holy land of Sanju be so careless? And Na Feng says, this holy land of Sanju. It's over. Then we see the scene outside Li Fan's house, where a man has come. And he's saying, hey you guys! Come out and die. And there is a huge army behind that man. And just then, both the masters come to that place, and the second master says to that man, is someone like you worthy of summoning the two of us? We'll wipe out your own cultivation, make you kneel down and make you beg for your sins, and maybe you can still save that holy land of yours. And when the man has seen both of them, he says to them, it turned out that Ling Chao and Yuan Yang, two fellow Taoists, hadn't seen each other for a long time. You two fellow Taoists, do you two have anything to do with the vandals who have damaged my holy land? Or perhaps you are here to search for the immortal artifacts of the ancestors of the Sanju Holy Land? And after listening to that man, the first master says to him, nonsense immortal artifact! You have committed a heinous sin! You are really stubborn, Chang Sun Lianqing, whether you seek to seize the immortal artifact or intend to be on the immortal ascension platform. But you shouldn't have used that senior as an excuse. And now you're still speaking ill of that senior? Then don't blame us if we destroy your holy land. And when that man hears about a senior, he thinks, they both call it senior? Could it be that there are old undead monsters in the southern region? Then the man activates his power, and says angrily, you want to destroy my Sanju holy land, you too, what will you use to do it? I will become immortal. No one in this Xiantian realm can defeat me. And after listening to him, the first master says, no wonder you took the trouble to come all the way from the holy land of Sanju. It turns out that you are almost an immortal and are in desperate need of that lute and pen. Then now both of them also get ready to fight that man, and the first master tells him, sorry, I just broke through to the quasi-immortal realm. And hearing this, the man says to them, how can you two be quasi-immortal? I'm definitely the strongest of all the holy masters in the world. And the first master and second master say to him, thanks to the help of those seniors, we were able to enter the quasi-immortal realm with ease. Do you know that those two girls, Na Feng and Ziling, have been accepted as disciples by that senior? This is a fate so immortal that even we should envy it. However, you did the opposite. To label two promising disciples as traitors is to show no respect to that senior. The holy land of Sanju will be destroyed. And after listening to both of them, the man starts getting angry and starts thinking, I've planned my whole life, how can I accept a loss? Then the man gets ready to attack those people. And prepares one of his attacks. And tell them, I can't believe it. Today, a god will kill a god. Buddha will kill Buddha. Even if you two are immortal, you can't stop me. And the light becomes very bright there, due to which both of them cannot see anything. And the man moves forward to attack, but suddenly someone comes to that place, and in just one hit she throws the man far away. And Jiang Shui has come to that place. And she says to the man, just kill people like this directly, why bother making a fuss? Senior said that this holy land no longer needs to exist in this world. And when the man comes to know that an immortal has come to this place, he gets shocked and starts thinking, do you also want to act according to the wishes of those seniors? What really happened? Then huge explosions start happening at that place, and the man is thinking, no. The holy land of Sanju can never end just like that. I don't want to be a sinner to the holy land of Sanju. And now the man starts forming a formation with his blood and says, the 9th generation of the holy master of the Sanju holy land, Chang Sun Lianqing, begged the ancestors to descend and protect the Sanju holy land. And just then, a very bright light comes on that side, and someone comes out of the light, and that is, immortal Sanju. And he says, after several years of ascension, will the legacy left in the lower realms be destroyed by humans? And when that man sees immortal Sanju, he becomes very happy. And all the soldiers greet that immortal. Then Jiang Shui tells immortal Sanju, in this case, there is no point in having the original body come, let alone having only one clone. And immortal Sanju says to him, I didn't expect that thousands of years after I stepped into the immortal realm, there were others who had achieved immortality, so I wasn't too lonely. But why do you want to kill them all? Originally, I wanted to leave 2 immortal artifacts in the Xiantian realm for future generations, but I didn't want to cause such a big disaster. I want to know, what is the origin of the person behind you? And Jiang Shui tells him, you and I are not qualified to ask. An immortal Sanja laughs and says, haha, the original body can be regarded as penetrating the sky in the immortal realm. Even if a powerful person from the immortal realm descends to the earth, he may not have the qualifications to speak in such a way. An immortal Sanju gets curious and says to him, I wonder who that person is. And hearing this, the first master gets angry and says, how dare you spy on Senior? Miss Jiang Shui, please restrain him. But Jiang Shui tells them, no need, if Senior Li had wanted it, he would have been dead by the time he saw her. Don't forget, Senior Li's 2 disciples, in a sense, have a bit of a connection to the Sanju Holy Land as well. After some time, that immortal Sanju comes near Li Fan's house, and looks at the calligraphy written on the wall, and thinks, how is it possible? Think and learn. Step by step, and the path continues. This is definitely the mystery of entering the Tao. And that immortal Sanju gets a little surprised and sweat starts flowing from his forehead. Then we see Li Fan, who is now playing music, and when he hears the music immortal Sanju, he starts having pain in his heart, and he says, this is my dusty lute. How come? How can there be such a heavenly sound? This is just an ordinary Taoist rhythm. And hearing that sound, immortal Sanju holds his head. And right there that man is saying to immortal Sanju, Patriarch, revenge, revenge for us. The Sanju Holy Land has never experienced this much humiliation, and they disrespect you even more. You must not forgive it. Patriarch, please do something. And Sanju says to him while rubbing his teeth, revenge? Are you qualified to tell me to attack a senior? Today, the Holy Land of Sanju knows what true Tao is. Unfortunately, thousands of years of cultivation were wasted. And then he starts leaving from there. And the first master says, what has he seen? So Jiang Shui says, it's an honor for him to be able to kneel and bow to Senior Li. If he were here with his real body and took a glimpse, I'm afraid his cultivation would instantly rise to a higher level. Now the man starts banging his head and says, it's over. What kind of person have I provoked? Then immortal Sanju comes to Jiang Shui and politely says to her, this time the Sanju's sacred ground has offended Senior. Can you ask Senior what I should do to make amends to my Sanju's sacred ground? And Jiang Shui says to that immortal Sanju, Senior said that Senior never wants to see the holy land of Sanju again. And after hearing this, he says to immortal Sanju, today you are in big trouble, there is no way out, I will do it, you still have a chance to reincarnate, this is my last favor to you. And immortal Sanju prepares his attack to kill all those men. And immortal Sanju says to that man, it all started because of your greed. That one piano stroke was meant to be saved for fate, but you didn't know better from worse, and you brought the entire holy land of Sanju to this path of destruction. You, an immortal, cannot be reincarnated. And immortal Sanju kills that man right there. Then he comes to Jiang Shui and tells her, please tell Ziling and Nan Feng that from now on, as long as they are willing, they will be the lords of the Sanju Holy Land. And after listening to him, Jiang Shui says yes. And now immortal Sanju starts disappearing from that place, and while leaving says his last words, it's a pity that I was born in the wrong era and didn't have the opportunity to follow and learn besides such an extraordinary power. What a pity. And immortal Sanju disappears from that place. Then both of those masters say, Senior had never appeared before the world before, and the whole world was changed by him. The holy land of Sanju was completely wiped out, and Jiang Shui says to those 2 masters, remember the words of Seniors. The events on the Immortal Ascension platform are just the beginning. Seniors give us immortal destiny. We should never eat dry food, and pawns have the role of pawns. After this, the scene shifts and we see the world tree, and some people have come near that world tree, who are wearing black hoodies. And one of the men says, the world tree in the world is rooted in the southern domain. Zhang world tree will definitely be shaken, according to the time, it is almost time for us to do it. And another man says, if we attack at the same time and destroy the foundations of each domain, the world tree will appear on its own, and then, that's our chance to obtain it. After this, the scene shifts, and we come to the western desert, and there are two people walking in this place, and a disciple says, Master, the Northern Star Holy Land in the Northern Territory, and the Xian Yuan family in the Eastern Desert have been destroyed. Is the catastrophic extinction of the Xiantian realm coming soon? And his master says, come on, we'll soon reach the Lane Temple, where the great God will tell us everything. This can't be according to the road, Lane Temple is clearly here. And both of them are monks. And his disciple asks to look at the front and says, the Buddha beast statue at the top of Lane Temple. And looking at that statue, the master says, the Lane Temple's Buddha beast statue, the only such statue in the entire western desert, is placed above the main hall of the Lane Temple and is worshipped by the entire world. Does that mean, Lane Temple? There at our feet, among the sand dunes. And then strong winds start blowing at that place. After this, the scene shifts and we see another place. In this place there are many people talking and saying, the Northern Territory's North Star Holy Land is destroyed. The Lane Temple is buried and does not exist in this world. The Xian Yuan family in the Eastern Desert was completely wiped out. The dragon spirits were killed by the fire, not a single survivor. The Zhongzhou Taihua Holy Land has disappeared from the Xiantian realm, leaving only a barren land. Fellow Taoists. This, oh no! I didn't expect Senior Li's words to come true so quickly. Have Saint Mu Qianning and the others already arrived? And both Linger and the women come to that place, and both greet the master. And Linger says to the second master, we are in the Hua Empire and have heard some news. It is said that more than 4 shrines have been wiped out? And the second master says 12, to be exact. In the entire Xiantian realm, there are no more than 20 Holy Land level powers, and now, nearly half of them have been wiped out. And Linger says a little disappointed, I never thought that someday the Xiantian realm would face such a disaster. Our southern region may be the only Holy Land in the entire Two Saints here, just to ask if Senior Li has any instructions. And also the first master says yes. It was precisely because of Senior Li that the southern region was so safe. Now, perhaps, only Senior Li can save the entire Xiantian realm. And as soon as Linger and the women listen to those two masters, they both get surprised, and the woman says to them, although Senior Li did not instruct, we should probably invite cultivators from other circles to come and take shelter. Otherwise, if not, they will all die. Then Linger says, I support Qian Ning's suggestion. It might not be wise to open up the southern region to provide shelter for cultivators around the world. But it's an act of justice and act of kindness. Moreover, I believe that the reason why we are favored by Senior Li may be precisely because of Qian Ning's kindness. And after listening to both of them, the second master says, the two saints are right. We shouldn't have closed the gate. And also the first master says, our two holy lands immediately unite to send a message to the outside world, telling them that the southern region is the only holy land. They are welcome to come to the southern region for refuge. And again the scene shifts, and we see the world tree, which looks like it is going to die soon. And at that place there are people in black hoodies, and among them a man asks, what's really going on? Why are we still unable to step into it? Then one of the men explains, we have wiped out more than half of the supreme-level cultivators in the Xiantian realm, and where the world tree is rooted, it should already be covered in blood. Under such circumstances, the world tree could not possibly remain unharmed. It seems that the world tree in this world is a little tougher, and we may have to exterminate it soon. But the other man says, no. This world tree is only at the immortal level. Something must be wrong. On Zhang Xian's side, why hasn't he returned yet? Is there something wrong with the southern region? But then another man comes to that place and says this is bad. Zhang Xian is dead. And the man asks, in the Xiantian realm, immortals are invincible. Not to mention us true immortals. Luo Ming, what's going on here? So the man tells, I found the ground covered in Zhang Xian's blood on the immortal ascension platform in the southern region. Judging from this, he had been cut off from life and his soul had perished. And hearing this, the other man says, The only hidden danger of killing in the immortal stage is that it will be detected by the immortal domain. The existence of the immortal domain. According to the immortal master, we have destroyed a dozen immortal realms. It is inevitable that we will not be targeted by the immortal domain, so we should pause and scout. The ants in this region seem to be fleeing towards the southern region. It's easier for us to gather. Luoming, take 2 of your men and kill these ants. Contact another master and ask him to check what happened in the immortal realm. And finally we see a man's face properly, and he says, "This world seems a little interesting." After this, the scene shifts to Li Fan. And both Linger and the women had come to that place. And Linger greets Li Fan and says, "Senior. In the past month, in the western desert, northern region, and eastern desert, there have been natural disasters and many people have died." And listening to Linger, Li Fan is thinking, a natural disaster? An earthquake just happened on Tsengli Mountain, and something happened elsewhere in the Xiantian realm. This Xiantian realm was really hit by a disaster. Then the woman says to Li Fan, "Senior Li, Qian Ning suggested that elders Ling Chao and Yuan Yang accept refugees from all regions and take refuge in the southern region. Did Qian Ning do something wrong?" And Li Fan smilingly says to the women, "Of course there is nothing wrong. Stay good, do good things, there is nothing wrong, you have a good heart. It's just that saving lives is fine, but your strength is limited, so don't push yourself too hard." And then Li Fan gets a notification through the system. And in that notification it is written, "Take 10 disciples and teach them various skills to help them make a living in this chaotic world." And after reading that notification, Li Fan is thinking, it's accepting students again? It is estimated that this natural disaster is talk serious. The system asks me to help more people. But, teaching 10 disciples with different skills, I taught some of them. Lute, chess, calligraphy, and painting are not bad. Some people buy them, but what about other skills? Postpartum self-care. Growing hybrid vegetables. The 14 iron hammer method. No one wants to learn it. Taking 10 disciples is a big deal. That's right. I had limited resources in this small mountain village, but Hualinger and the others had contacts with many people outside, so I could ask them for help. No! In their hearts, I am a master with extraordinary skills. I should be more reserved and show style like a real master. And Linger is asking Li Fan, "Senior, is there anything I can do for you?" "Senior, why are you looking at me like that?" And Li Fan smilingly says to Linger, "I guess." And hearing this, Linger starts blushing and says, "I will do whatever you ask." And Li Fan tells her, "Well, I still have some skills and would like to find some disciples, but I have lived in the mountains for a long time and know little about the outside world." And when Linger hears this, she is a little surprised, but the woman is happy, and Li Fan he further says, "Yes, chaos is happening and we must do something about it." And Li Fan is thinking, "Yes, chaos is happening," and the woman happily says, "Rest assured, Senior, we will soon spread the news of your intention to accept disciples throughout the Xiantian realm. I believe that the best people in the entire Xiantian realm will come soon." And Linger is thinking while shaking her head, how could it be just a small skill? The small skill Senior Li spoke of must be a supreme immortal path that is hard to find in the world. Seniors are free and unrestrained in the world, but still think of the world, and save ordinary people as their duty, but I. Then Li Fan coughs and says, "Stay humble, just go with the flow." And also Li Fan is thinking, joke, in this I'd rather complete tasks secretly. Then both of them leave from there. Then when both the masters come to know that Li Fan is looking for disciples for himself, they get a big shock. And blood starts coming out of their mouth. Then the second master says, "Then we can't tell the sect openly and formally, because that would attract the sect's curiosity, and it would interfere with Senior Li's cultivation. It seems like we can only get the news in various ways in private, but if there is a destined person, I believe we can get this opportunity." Then both the masters make cute faces and say, "That's the only way to stay humble and go with the flow." Do you think I still have a chance? And what about me? At the beginning of this part, we see a guy who is going somewhere with a flying sword, and he is saying, "Damn it, what kind of bullshit opportunity." It's obviously a legend that catches wind and shadows. You have to let me check. And the guy comes down, and he says, the Divine Sword Sect. They have suppressed me as an outer disciple for so many years. I really don't want to serve you anymore. And this boy's name is Lu Rang. And he takes out a lot of fruits from his pocket, and says, with my skills in growing spiritual plants, why am I still worried about finding a home? And when he looks up, there are flying ships flying in the air. And looking at her, the boy is thinking, the roaring true dragon is a member of the Holy Dragon royal family? Unexpectedly, such forces also fled to the southern region. What are they doing here? The outlet is full of dangers, and you haven't escorted me in yet. And then something falls down from that flying ship, and we see that a boy has been thrown from that flying ship. And that boy is angrily saying to them, do you also know the dangers here? The queen asked us to send you off, but she didn't ask us to die. And Lu Rang is thinking while looking at that boy, is this the abandoned son of the Holy Dragon royal family with a broken dragon soul? And the boy notices Lu Rang and says, I'm here at Long Zishuan of the Holy Dragon dynasty. Brother Dao is walking with his sword behind his back. Do you dare to say that Brother Dao is from the Duga family? And looking at this boy, it seems that he has not slept for many nights. But that boy is thinking, the power of the Duga family is well known to the entire Xiantian world. It will be much safer if you can travel with the sword cultivators of the Duga family. And Lu Rang says to Zishuan smilingly, I am not from the Duga family. I am an outer disciple of the Divine Sword Sect in the lower north region. My name is Lu Rang. And Zishuan says to Lu Rang, Brother Lu, we can't control the air ahead, how about we go together? This Zhongli mountain range is full of crises, and one more person will bring more strength. Then now, both of them are moving forward facing many difficulties. And at the same time both of them are also talking to each other. Brother Lu Rang, are you also here for the legendary master who is recruiting disciples here? And Lu Rang says yes, but where are the damn experts in this place? Only the unpopular ones are sent as cannon fodder, and now both of them get very tired while walking. And Zishuan is saying to Lu Rang, you have also seen that although I am a direct prince, I was born with an incomplete dragon soul and it is difficult to practice. I am called a waste in the dynasty. I don't know how many people want me to die. But as soon as both of them look ahead, they see a village, and seeing that village, Zishuan says, what kind of holy place is this? And Lu Rang says, this place must be extraordinary. Able to be in a big preserved in the tribulation, there must be something extraordinary in it. And Zishuan is moving fast, and Lu Rang is saying to Zishuan from behind, we don't know the depth of this mountain village at all, how can we enter it rashly? Many forbidden areas in the Zhongli Mountains have been destroyed, but this place is intact. This is the forbidden area among forbidden areas. And Zishuan is saying to Lu Rang, Brother Lu, although I am the prince of the dynasty, I have long been no different from a useless person. Instead of living in the world and suffering all the cold looks, ridicule, and oppression, I would rather risk my life. What you said makes sense, but there's something wrong inside. Even if I am a Jedi, I am not afraid to bury my bones in it. And Lu Rang gets surprised after listening to Zishuan and says, risk your life, that's right. Just die. Brother Long, wait for me. Then as both of them move ahead, Zishuan's eyes fall on a pit. And he stops there and starts looking at that pit. And Lu Rang, Zishuan says this, it's just a ditch, why don't you keep walking? And when Lu Rang sees the water of that pit, he gets surprised after seeing that water, and Zishuan says to Lu Rang, Brother Lu, smell it. Then both of them start smelling that water. And they like its smell very much. Then both of them directly put their entire heads in the water of that pit, and start drinking that water. And Lu Rang is saying, if this water is used to nourish elixir, that will definitely work. And just then, the village elder arrives at that place. And he says to those two boys, what are you doing? How do you drink water from the sewer? Are you from outside? You must be tired from walking? But you can't drink this water. It's not good for your health. There are people growing vegetables upstream and they often apply farmyard manure. And Zishuan gets surprised after listening to the words of that village elder, and he does not know what to say. Then the elder, while leaving, says to both of them, young man, you are really careless. Come on, come home with me. And Zixuan tells Lu Rang, when there is a car ahead of me, I dare not obey. Brother Lu, this senior is unimaginable. The crutch in his hand seems to be of a higher grade than the quasi-immortal weapons in my holy land. This senior may be the legendary master who accepted disciples. Then the elder takes out water with a spoon and says to them, the water over there is not clean. Come on, let's drink a gourd each to quench our thirst. Then we can pick some fruits to eat along the way, and then we're on our way. And when both of them see that spoon, they become very surprised, and both of them are thinking after looking at that spoon, what kind of water drift is this? This is clearly a keel. A treasure that is beyond a quasi-immortal weapon is only used for drinking water? The best elixir. Supergrade elixir. Or is it still above the super level? And the village elder, seeing both of them silent, asks, what's going on? Why are you all stunned? And then, both of them fall on their knees in front of the village elders, and say to them, Senior, please accept me as your disciple. And the elder laughingly says to both of them, I said, why did you come into our small mountain village? It turns out that come and pay homage to the handsome man. You've come to the right place. However, you have chosen the wrong person to become your disciple. It is not me who wants to be a disciple. And both of them are surprised to hear the elder's words. Then the elder tells both of them, how can I recruit a disciple? The person who wants to recruit a disciple is Shaoli. Shaoli is omnipotent and proficient in all kinds of martial arts. He has been helping me with my old bones all these years. My crutches, water and many other utensils were all made by Shaoli. The jujube tree in the yard was also made by Shaoli. You guys, if you can learn even a little bit from Shaoli, it will be enough for you to use for the rest of your life. Get up quickly and go find Shaoli. Then both of them say thank you to the elder and leave, to find Li Fan. And both of them are running very fast, and are also thinking, such a peerless expert actually praised another person like this. How terrifying is that person? It's unimaginable. This is truly a great opportunity. The senior just now was at least an immortal in cultivation. This is the guide of the immortal, pointing out the future for the two of us. And now, both of them reach near Li Fan's house. And Lu Rang looks ahead and says the senior Li said that the immortal is right in front. Come on, let's hurry up. Now, before people from the outside come, hurry up and become a disciple. And Zixuan says the words on the courtyard door. And Lu Rang looks at those words and says, these 3 words give me an indescribable feeling that makes me want to keep watching. And Zixuan is also shocked and he says, I can't detect the mystery, but these 3 words are more terrifying than the words left by an immortal ancestor of my dynasty. And then Nanfeng sees both of them. And now both of them tell Nanfeng about themselves and say, I am Lu Rang from the Divine Sword sect. This is Long Zixuan from the Holy Dragon dynasty. We are here to become apprentices to Senior Li. And Nanfeng happily says to both of them, I didn't expect someone to come so soon. Please wait a moment. I'm going to the teacher to tell about you both. And Nanfeng goes to tell Li Fan. But Lu Rang asks Zixuan, is this girl the disciple of that senior? And Zixuan tells Lu Rang, this senior is a real master, this girl is a few years younger than us, but the scriptures have guidance from the gate of strength. And Lu Rang gets surprised after listening to Zixuan and says, what? This girl is actually a venerable? In my impression, all sages are immortal. And Zixuan says, we have to be respectful. And Nanfeng comes back and tells them, the teacher allows you to come in. And when both of them go inside Li Fan's house, they are very surprised to see the surrounding environment. And Zixuan is looking at that place and saying, my dragon soul is trembling and reviving. There seems to be something extraordinary here that attracts my dragon soul. And Lu Rang is very surprised to see the spiritual energy of this place and he says, what treasure tree is this? Compared with this peach tree, the super-grade elixirs in the sect can be fed to pigs. Even the jujube tree in the immortal courtyard is far from comparable to the peach tree here. How terrifying is the master here? And Li Fan comes to both of them and says, why are you two in a day? And at the same time Li Fan is thinking looking at both of them, it seems that the disaster in the outside world is really serious. Otherwise, who would be willing to learn such useless things from myself? Then both of them bow down on their knees directly near Li Fan, and says to Li Fan, Senior, please accept the two of me as your disciples. And Li Fan says to both of them, don't be like this, get up quickly. Why do you two want to worship me as your teacher? And Li Fan is thinking, looking at both of them, he can't be too casual about accepting disciples. Ning Kaelan, please understand carefully. And Li Fan says to both of them, follow the rules when guests leave. And as soon as Li Fan says this, yellow light energy starts flowing at that place. And seeing that energy, both of them start thinking, this force forced me to get up. Is this the legendary saying that follows the rules? And Zixuan tightens his hand and says to Li Fan, Senior and Junior, although they were born into a fairly powerful family, they were not welcomed by the clan. This time, they were forced to come to the Zhongli Mountains. The junior thought that he was destined to die, but he never expected that, wandered into the secluded place of the seniors. The junior just wants to be with the senior, listen to the advice and regret, and ask the senior to accept the junior. The junior will definitely work hard and make progress. And listening to Zixuan's words, Li Fan is thinking, another poor child. Now that the Zhongli mountain range has been destroyed long ago, he is still forced to come here by his family. It is also pitiful. And at the same time Lu Rang is saying to Li Fan, Senior, I want to follow you and learn the art of farming. All my life, I have loved planting things. If one day I could plant a peach tree like this, I would be willing to die. And Li Fan smilingly tells Lu Rang, a drink and a peck are all fate. Since you two are here, stay. And now, Li Fan has chosen both of them as his disciples. And after knowing that Li Fan has made both of them his disciples, both of them become very happy. And tears start coming out of both of their eyes. And Zixuan is crying and saying, we really succeeded in becoming a disciple. God, have you finally opened your eyes? And while filling tea in the cup, Li Fan says to both of them, okay, come and sit. I've been tired since I've been here in a hurry. I want to drink a cup of tea to quench my thirst. And as soon as Zixuan drinks that tea, he feels something and thinks, the broken dragon soul in my body is being replenished. It's a pond. The pond in the courtyard is where I want to go. And Li Fan says to both of them, I just heard from you too, Lu Rang, you want to learn the art of farming, right? And Lu Rang speaks enthusiastically, yes, I don't respect my seniors as my master. I want to learn the art of cultivation. This is also my lifelong pursuit. And after listening to Lu Rang, Li Fan says, well, in that case, I will teach you the art of cultivation. And at the same time Li Fan is thinking his lifelong pursuit is to be a farmer. I have to say that this ambition is just a matter of luck. If he wanted to learn something advanced, he would not be able to teach him. And Zixuan says to Li Fan, Master, I want to go to the pond. And Li Fan listens to Zixuan and says, it seems that you want to learn the art of fish farming. Well, I will also teach you this. And Li Fan is thinking, it's not bad for one to help him farm and the other to help him raise fish. And now Li Fan stands up and says, okay, you two come with me, and I will teach you the techniques of planting and raising fish in turn. Nafong, bring me the teacher's hoe. And when both of them see Li Fan's hoe, they both get very surprised and they are thinking, a treasure far beyond a quasi-immortal weapon. Just by looking at it, you can feel the condensation of the avenue, and there is a strong oppressive force. Then Li Fan tells them, let's go to the vegetable field and teach Lu Rang how to farm first. And as soon as both of them see Li Fan's vegetables, they become even more surprised. And both are thinking, Master, do you care about this? Call it a vegetable field? Oh my God, what on earth is this place? Who exactly is Master? Then Li Fan says to Lu Rang, if you want to learn the art of planting and breeding, the first step is to learn to loosen the soil. Don't think that loosening the soil is easy. Just keep an eye on it. And Li Fan starts working with a hoe, seeing which both of them become even more surprised. And Li Fan says to Lu Rang, although loosening the soil is the most basic first step, only when you master the land can you grasp what level of crops you can grow. It seems simple, but there is also truth in it. And Li Fan starts giving the hoe to Lu Rang, and Lu Rang bows before the hoe and says, Master's Ho has opened up a supreme avenue for his disciples. If the disciple understands, he will definitely study hard and strive to embark on the road of farming as soon as possible. And Li Fan says to Lu Rang, "Come on, this hoe will be handed over to you from now on." And Lu Rang grabs the hoe, but that hoe is very heavy. And now, Li Fan takes Zixuan with him, and while leaving he says to Zixuan, "Come on, I'll take you to the pond." And now Li Fan is feeding the fishes, and is saying to Zixuan, "In this pond, I have raised some koi carps for my teacher." Fish farming is also a delicate job, which can cultivate your moral character. If you learn to observe koi carp, you will also get a different kind of fun. Fish culture. The most important thing is to learn to feed. And Zixuan starts imagining and thinks about Li Fan. No wonder when I entered the small courtyard, I felt the broken dragon soul in my body began to come alive. I understood everything. What is fed in this pond is the real dragon of the pond. And now, a lot of energy starts coming out from inside Zixuan, and Zixuan is thinking, the reason why the Holy Dragon Dynasty became a Holy Land level force is because an ancestor once heard the shadow of a giant dragon from a distance, and learned from it. But now I can face it, but it is a pool of real dragons. And also Na Feng is a little nervous and says, what the teacher feeds in this pond are indeed divine creatures. And Xiling also says nervously, if the teacher hadn't been here in person, a few of us would have been killed alive. And Zixuan again bows before Li Fan, and Li Fan says to Zixuan, no need to be polite. Just get up and you will be responsible for these baits from now on. And Li Fan sees Zixuan doing this and thinks, Lao, it seems that he really had a miserable life in the outside world. He worked really hard to get a chance to live in the small courtyard. And now both are doing their respective work, and Zixuan is thinking I am too weak to fully observe the swimming trajectory of this real dragon. And Lu Rang is also thinking, that too while working, this kind of treasure requires tremendous strength to lift. He exhausted all his spiritual power just by barely lifting it, let alone controlling it. And Li Fan is thinking about both of them, can you fall asleep even if you feed a fish? This person who can't even lift his head several times is probably because he has lived a miserable life in the outside world and cannot keep up with his nutrition for a long time, which has caused his body to become weak. He needs to take good care of himself. After this, the scene shifts, and we see those people dressed in black and one of the men speaking. I still haven't sensed Zhang Xian's aura. He was killed too thoroughly. And the other black hoodie man says, this person must be hiding in the southern territory. And the first man says smilingly, I have a plan in my mind, let's go and find a force to go with. After this, the scene shifts and we see Luofu Holy Land. And at this place someone is speaking. Taoist friends want to take a step closer to entering Taoism with swords. Brother Yu secretly thinks that just by cultivating sword energy, he can take a step closer. But hearing his words, the other man gets angry and says, how dare a little ant speak nonsense about Taoism? Then we see two people, and this is the man, Holy Lord of Luofu. And the name of the other man is Chaoi Jian. And just then, that black hoodie man comes near Luofu. And Black Hoodie's partner attacks Chaoi Jian, and injures him. And the man says, and I ask what is the most powerful force in the southern region? And seeing the power of that man, Chaoi Jian is thinking, no resistance, such terrifying strength? Is the other party a true immortal? And Chaoi Jian says to that man, Semir, we are also new to the southern territory and are not familiar with it. Perhaps we only know about it at Taiyan Holy Land and Xiang Holy Land. And they say to Luofu and Chaoi Jian, it's not enough to alert the snake yet, so let's use these two building ants as chess pieces. It seems that Taiyan Holy Land and Xiang Holy Land are definitely connected to the power that killed Zhang Xian. And the other man in that black hoodie says, do you two want to become the masters of the southern territory and dominate everything? Just do something for me and I will give you everything. This opportunity is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and both of them get surprised after listening to his words. And now both of them get ready to work for them. After this, the scene shifts, and we see the Taiyan Holy Land. And both Luofu and Chaoi Jian have come to this place, and Luofu is saying, fellow Taoists, all the sects have arrived, this time it's up to you and me. And Chaojian says, Brother Tao, don't worry, with the current strength of you and me, carving up the southern territory is no problem. And also at that place, now both master and the woman have arrived. And the second master looks at them and says, what do the two holy masters intend to do by summoning all the sects in the Xiantian realm for such a huge battle? And Chaojian says laughingly, it's easy to say. I'll make a special trip to visit the owners of Taiyan and Xiang Holy Lands and discuss it. Discuss the redivision of resources in the southern territory. And after hearing Chaojian's words, the first master gets angry, and so does the second master. And both of them are releasing their energy, and the first master says to them, what an ungrateful thing. We kindly asked them to come to the southern territory to take refuge, but now they come back to bite us. And the second master also says, how unreasonable. I really thought our holy land in the southern territory was easy to bully. And Luofu looks at both of them and says, everyone has a share in the southern territory, and those who are capable will live there. If you can't do it, you should get out. Then the second master says, quasi-immortal? No wonder Holy Lord Luofu dared to stand up. It's just that if you want to rely on the power of a quasi-immortal to carve up our southern region, I'm afraid, and both of them get angry, after hearing what the second master said. And both of them start releasing their power, and Luofu says to them, if the quasi-immortal is not enough, what about the other two? And Chaojian releases a lot of his energy and says, how? Are you mute? I'm giving you face, I hope you can save some face, and if you insist on forcing me to take action, I'm afraid you will be in trouble for the death of your sect. And the second master says to the woman, Saint Qian Ning, Goddess Linger, we are forced to face the enemy. And after listening to the second master, the woman says, there is no need to endure it anymore. These people have trampled our good intentions underfoot, and now both masters release their full power, and say to them, do you really think that the southern region is a place where you can do whatever you want? And Luofu gets surprised and thinks, what? Are they both quasi-immortals? Could it be that there are real immortals behind them? But he says, however, even if you are quasi-immortals, you will still lose today. Our combined background far exceeds yours. And just then, Linger comes to that place and says, you've gone too far. The southern territory has opened the door of convenience for you to avoid disaster, but you repay kindness with hatred. Really looking for death. And Linger starts taking out a weapon from herself. And then, that black hoodie man comes to that place and says to both of them, retreat. And Luofu is surprised to hear this and says, the arrow is on the string, master. Why retreat? And the man tells both of them, fool. The other party has a fairy treasure on his body, and you two losers are no match at all. And both of them are surprised to hear this. After this, Luofu asks both of them master to stop. And he comes forward and says, two holy masters, we have already achieved enlightenment, and become quasi-immortals. Once a war begins, the entire southern territory will probably suffer. And the second master says, what do you want to say? So Luofu tells them, it's very simple. How about letting the younger generation compete and decide the allocation of resources in the southern region based on their victory or defeat? And second master asks Linger, Goddess Linger, what do you think? And Linger says, the Holy Lord's decision is that no matter what you do, we will support you. Then the second master says to both of them, good. In this case, our two holy lands represent that the southern territory has agreed to your challenge. 3 days later, the young generation of the southern region will face the geniuses of the 4 major regions. The next day, the first master and second master are speaking. I hope the young generation in the southern region will not disappoint us. The Luofu Holy Land and the Divine Sword sect came to Qin Meng fiercely, and they were clearly ready to start a war. However, when the two goddesses got angry, their attitudes changed instantly, which seemed too strange. And the second master says, yes, I think they saw something from the two goddesses and felt shocked. And the first master says to Linger, Saint Qian Ning, I suspect that there are others behind them. And the second master says, right. And in just 1 month, Holy Lord Luofu and Chaojian, they have all reached the quasi-immortal realm. How could they advance so quickly? I'm afraid someone is supporting them behind the scenes. And Linger says to the woman, Qian Ning, maybe we should report this matter to Senior Li. And the woman says, I'll tell Senior Li right now. After this, the scene shifts towards Li Fan. And Li Fan is sitting in the chair and thinking, drinking tea and listening to music is a life like this. But there are still 8 out of 10 apprentices. How long will it take to complete it? And Na Feng is doing her practice. And then, she reaches some other place and says, where am I? Where is the road? And when Zixuan sees Na Feng, he gets surprised and says, Senior sister, have you touched the immortal way? And Xiling is also surprised and she says, Sister Na Feng is going to break through? And Li Fan is thinking, Nanfeng's piano skills have improved a lot, but it's a bit messy. Let me sort it out for her. And then, Na Feng hears a voice and thinks, this voice is the teacher, and the teacher is guiding me. And then, she opens her eyes. I saw that door. I have become a quasi-immortal. Then Na Feng comes to Li Fan and says to him, thank you teacher for your guidance. The disciple almost went astray. And Li Fan says to Na Feng, you play well. If you go far on this road, you will encounter all kinds of inner demons. It is normal. And Zixuan gets very surprised to see Na Feng and he says, Senior sister is only about 20 years old, but she has already become a quasi-immortal? And Xiling says, it's all because of the teacher. As long as the teacher is here, the immortal way that the entire Xiantian world looks up to is nothing. And then the woman calls Li Fan from a distance, is Senior Li here? And Li Fan understands that the woman is coming. And he asks the woman to come inside. Then Li Fan asks both of them, what's the matter with you? And the woman says, Senior, before I advised Seniors Yuanyang and Ling Chao to accept people from all regions and take refuge in the Southern Territory. But now, they bite back and want to rob the Southern Territory of resources. And Linger also says, Senior, in order to determine the ownership of the resources in the Southern Territory, those people propose to hold a competition among young people. Li Fan gets surprised after listening to both of them and says, you are not wrong. What is wrong is just greed in human nature. Don't blame yourself for being kind. It is the most cherished light in life. And Li Fan is thinking, is it a martial arts contest? To put it bluntly, it should be that both parties are going to have a fight, and I am not good at fighting in groups. And then Lu Rang and Zixuan come to Li Fan, and both of them say, they've gone too far. How can these people be so ungrateful? Repaying evil with kindness is shameful, and Li Fan is thinking, looking at both of them, gang war? Don't you happen to have 2 apprentices? And Li Fan says to both of them, do you two have any experience in fighting? And after listening to Li Fan, the woman and Linger are thinking, Senior Li, are you going to send out your own disciples? If Senior Li's disciples take action, then what is there to worry about? And Lu Rang and Zixuan say to Li Fan, Master, we will definitely win this battle. Disciples are willing to go. Listening to both of them, Li Fan says, good. In this case, you go with Qian Ning and the others. Since there is no weapon in the competition, then look, are there any weapons in your hands in this yard? And when both of them listen to Li Fan, they both look at each other and think, yes, we'll go find him right now. There are countless treasures in this small courtyard, but there are very few of them that we can control with our current cultivation level. Master asked us to choose the weapons that we can control according to our ability. Got it, I remembered. Then both of them go inside to get the weapon. And after some time, both of them have selected their weapons and Zixuan says, look at this. I got something for you too. But when Li Fan sees Zixuan's weapon, he is unable to say anything. Because Zixuan has chosen a fire stick as his weapon, and Lu Rang has chosen a chopstick as his weapon. And Lu Rang says happily, good. I can use this treasure enough. Then both of them say to Li Fan, Master, both of us have already picked out weapons. And Li Fan is thinking after listening to both of them, aren't these 2 fools? Let you choose. Of these 2 guys, one chooses a fire stick or the other chooses chopsticks. Is this to give someone away? Then Li Fan says to both of them, that's all, I won't say anything else as a teacher. When you fight, just stay far away and don't hurt yourself. And the woman happily says to Li Fan, thank you, Senior. In this case, we will go back and inform Senior Yuanyang. If they know that Senior has sent a disciple, they will definitely be overjoyed. And Na Feng is worried about Zixuan and Lu Rang, so Na Feng comes to Li Fan and says to Li Fan, if the two junior brothers can't win, let's go next time. And Li Fan thinks after listening to Na Feng, a girl who plays the piano suddenly said that she wanted to take her painting sister out to fight in a group. Too special a girl is disobeying. After this, the scene shifts and we see a man standing in the middle of a waterfall feeling very happy and saying, I have reached the supreme level. And just then, Luofu comes to that place, and there is another boy with him, and that boy says, Senior brother, I have also reached the 8th level of Mahuyana. And Luofu says to that man, you too have received the master's gift. This time, you must take over the entire southern territory from my Luofu holy land. And the man greets Luofu and says, Holy Lord, don't worry. Looking at the younger generation of Xiantian realm, no one can reach the supreme realm at my age. I am bound to win this competition. And that black hoodie man is also listening to all these things, and he is saying, after burning all the potential in life, in exchange for 3 days of reaching the pinnacle, he couldn't even enter the immortal path. What a waste. I just hope that you two losers can let me see some clues about the person behind this competition. I apologize. And now the day of battle has come. And people from many sects have also come to see this battle. And both Zixuan and Lu Rang have also come to that place to fight. And the first master is saying, this time, all the Holy Land sects from the Xiantian realm have arrived, so they have to rely on the two young masters. And Lu Rang tells them, don't worry, senior. The two of us will definitely live up to master's instructions. And Luofu and his two fighters have also reached that place. And Luofu is saying, I hope you two losers from both sects can live a little longer. And after saying this, Luofu starts laughing loudly. And seeing him laughing like this, the second master says to him, it's not certain who will win. But Luofu does not care about what the second master says, and he says laughingly, no matter who wins, it can't be your southern region. And now the fight is about to start, and a monk comes to fight, and the monk says the young monk Qingqin is willing to ask for advice from the people all over the world on behalf of Xiamo. And seeing that monk, the people around start talking. 9 sons of the holy Buddha of the Western Desert, the leader? It is said that this person has the appearance of an immortal. And the boy says to the monk, Luofu Holy Land, Toa Gao, please enlighten me. And as soon as the fight starts, the man disappears from his place, and the monk is shocked to see this. And that man appears directly near that monk, and gives him a dangerous hit, and says to that monk, hey, is it the appearance of immortality in the world? This is the legend. And that man throws that monk away, and he wins the fight, and everyone becomes very surprised to see the power of that man. That monk has been badly injured, and his cultivation has also been destroyed. And the man goes to the monk and says to him, Old monk, it is a kindness of mine to spare him his life. Then the boy starts shouting and challenging everyone and says, Who else is dissatisfied? Who else? And Luofu is very happy and he says, Yuanang and Ling Chao, you two are useless men. They are no match for our proud son. Kneel down and admit defeat. I can still keep you alive in the southern territory. And again Luofu starts laughing loudly. And those two elders are talking to each other. It seemed that there was someone really powerful behind the Luofu Holy Land. I started to doubt the other party's purpose. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Fortunately, all this was obviously within Senior Li's expectation. That's why he sent his disciples. And then, Lu Rang comes to that battlefield, and says, Toa Gao, I, Lu Rang, come to fight you. And a man looks at Lu Rang and says, Lu Rang? Isn't this kid an outer disciple of our sect? Have you been sent to the Cunli Mountains by me? He should have died over there. And that Chaoyijian is laughing very loudly and saying, How ridiculous! Are there no people left in your two holy places? This is just an abandoned dog of our sect. Ridiculous. And the first master comes to Chaoyijian and says to him, Chaoyijian, I hope you don't regret your words at this moment. Then we see the battle, and the man disappears again. But Lu Rang is thinking about Li Fan, how can he fight? Then he opens his eyes, and is about to punch the man, and is surprised to see Lu Rang's reaction. And with just one punch from Lu Rang, that man's condition worsens. And blood starts coming out from his mouth, and seeing this, the condition of both Luofu and Chao Yijian worsens. And also there is that black hoodie man in that crowd. And he is watching all these things. And he is talking to his partner, how come this child has just evolved with a feeling of a great way, and his partner says, behind this man should be the deposit we are looking for. And Lu Rang is saying to the people of the Divine Sword Sect, and Chao Yijian and Luofu are looking at each other and saying, I have given the treasure to the two of them to come together. Yes. Owner. And just then, a bright light shines in front of Lu Rang, and two people come to that place to fight with Lu Rang. And that man is saying, you trash. Court death. But this does not make any difference to Lu Rang, and he says, idiot, is it just you? Dare you be so presumptuous? Do you want to die? And Lu Rang is thinking happily, I have two senior sisters, one is supreme and the other is quasi-immortal. There is also a master who is invincible in heaven and on earth. Is it difficult to break through the master? And then both of them move forward to attack Lu Rang. And seeing this, the first master gets scared and says, immediately send our sect's quasi-immortal weapon to young master Lu Rang. But Zixuan stops both the masters and says, the two holy masters don't have to worry. And both of those masters stop, and while watching the fight, they are thinking, yes. Lu Rang is a disciple of Senior Li. Will there be a shortage of quasi-immortal weapons? And we see the fight scene, and Lu Rang would have stopped the attack of both of them with his chopsticks. And the power of that chopstick is so much that the sword of both of them breaks. And because of the power of that chopstick, the girl starts disintegrating. And when Luofu and Chao Yijian see this, they get a big shock, and Luofu is saying, chopsticks? That's a chopstick. Is it an immortal weapon? Is there an immortal behind him? And when both of them see this whole thing, they too get a big shock, and the first man says, just one, is already a treasure beyond the level of true immortal. And the other man looks at that treasure and says, we must master this magical weapon. Once you get it, the identity of the person behind it will be revealed. Then the man turns back and see two men. But then both of them bow before him and say to them, Master, spare our life. Just now, the elder brother who was holding a quasi-immortal sword was beheaded. But the other man says to both of them, don't panic. Swallowing this medicine will bring you two to a higher level. In addition, I will give you a true immortal level weapon. You two don't have to be afraid. The magic weapon in Lu Rang's hand has already been animated. After absorbing the spiritual energy he heard, he is now no different than a useless person, and after listening to that man's words, both of them become happy. Just then, both of them come behind Lu Rang, and tell Lu Rang to put down his chopsticks and bow before us and surrender. And the power of both of them has increased a lot. And both of them also have a treasure in their hands. And when Lu Rang listens to what both of them are saying, he gets very angry. But then a dragon comes to that place, and he says that this battle is not over yet, and it happens to be Zixuan. And Zixuan says to both of them, I took over this battle for my junior brother. Just then, one of the men discovers the treasure, and with the help of its powers he attacks the ground. And a huge explosion is about to happen on that ground, but then, Zixuan uses his dragon roar, due to which a huge explosion occurs at that place. And due to that explosion, both of them get seriously injured. And seeing this, both the black hoodie men get surprised, and one of them says, true dragon magic? This is now Ryongwu technology? The true dragon clan has been extinct for a long time. Is there one lying dormant in the Shaoxian heavenly realm? And the other man says happily, get him. It is extremely possible to obtain the treasures of the true dragon clan. This is the ultimate destiny. Yes. Definitely it is. Must get it. This is mine. You can actually get such treasures during your trip to Xiantian realm. And both of them start flying in the air, and one of them attacks with the help of his power. But then Zixuan starts moving his fire stick, and due to that a black energy comes out from that fire stick, which goes directly and attacks both the men, due to which both of them disappear within a few moments. And at that place, blood starts raining from both of them. And when Lu Rang sees this, he is very surprised, and he is thinking, I beg your darling. Is this fire stick so scary? I originally thought that the chopsticks in my hand were already very scary. And seeing all this, Linger is saying, seniorly. Such a big move, he destroyed 2 more true immortals. And the woman says happily, I knew it. With seniorly here, all plots will be shattered. And now sweat starts flowing from Luofu's forehead. This clearly shows that Luofu is very nervous. And he bows down to his knees, and along with him Chao Yijian also sits disappointed, and Luofu is saying, what's going on? Why do even the invincible immortals die so casually? And Chao Yijian also says, what kind of terrifying existence is hidden in the southern territory? Is this a dream? And both the masters come to them and say, 2 of you. Give us an explanation. Say who is behind you. And both Luofu and Chao Yijian are saying, this has nothing to do with me. I have no idea, right? We don't know at all. And the first master asks the woman, how to deal with Saint Qianning, Goddess Linger, Divine Sword Sect and Luofu Holy Land? Does Senior Li have any instructions? And the woman is saying, Senior Li didn't say anything, but since they colluded with a mastermind behind the scenes, I think Senior Li will definitely not forgive them. Let the 2 holy masters decide for themselves. And after listening to the women, the first master says, from today on, there is no more Luofu Holy Land and Divine Sword Sect in the Xiantian realm. And Luofu is thinking about looking at the woman. No, how can our holy land of Luofu be destroyed because of this? It's all this woman, as long as. Just take her. There is capital to negotiate conditions. And Luofu moves forward to attack the women, but just then, the woman takes out her treasure, and attacks Luofu with it, due to which Luofu starts bleeding from his nose and mouth, and there is a hole in his chest, and along with him, Chao Yijian also gets hit by the attack, due to which both of them are killed at that place. After this, everyone starts greeting the woman and Linger, and the woman is speaking to them all. You are so kind. We are all cultivators of the Xiantian realm. We are of the same lineage, and as long as we can live in harmony, that's it. This fight was not in vain. And then one of the men says, I dare to ask the 2 holy masters, there was a rumor circulating before, claiming that there was a peerless master accepting disciples outside the Tsungli mountain range. Did you release this news? And after listening to that man, the first master says, yes. Young Master Lu Rang and young Master Long Zixuan are both apprentices of that senior, but that senior, we are not even qualified to meet him. And after hearing the first master's words, everyone around understands that the hidden master is real, and people say, it turns out that the hidden master is real. After this, the scene shifts, and now Xiling is painting, but her hand is trembling. And Na Feng is watching all this from a distance, and she is thinking, Xiling has not written for a whole morning. Has Xiling reached a bottleneck? It seems that he encountered the same predicament as me before. And just then, Li Fan comes to that place and says, drink tea, hoe the ground, feed the fish, and play the piano as you please. Likewise, you must also paint as you please. It doesn't matter what you see, what matters is what you think. And when Xiling listens to Li Fan's words, she says, as you wish. What you see is not important. What is important is I think it is what it is. Teacher. I understand. And Nan Feng is thinking happily, Xiling has become immortal? From the supreme stage, cross over the quasi-immortal and directly enter the immortal path. And Li Fan is saying to Xiling, from tomorrow you can draw something else. And then someone calls Li Fan from behind, Senior Li, we are back. And listening to that voice, Li Fan is thinking, it was Mu Qianning's voice. It seemed like they were back from a group fight. Linger and Li Fan's 2 disciples come to that place, and Zixuan is happy and tells, thank you master for giving us the utensils. We have brought them back. Linger says to Li Fan, Senior, thank you for sending Mr. Long and Mr. Lu. The matter has been successfully resolved. Li Fan says to Linger smilingly, it's a small thing, not enough words to thank you. But Li Fan is thinking, these 2 stupid apprentices, one holding broken chopsticks and the other holding a fire stick, how can they help? This is to save face for me. Then Li Fan says to both of them, you 2 are quite clever. Throw the fire stick back into the kitchen, throw the chopsticks into the firewood pile, and burn it. And after listening to Li Fan, both of them get shocked and think, oh my god, this is such a treasure. Linger is telling Li Fan, this battle was fought beautifully. The outside world now knows that you are here, and also knows that you are here to recruit disciples. Next, I am afraid that countless people will come to become disciples, including many geniuses from various fields. I'm afraid this will affect Senior Qingxiu, please punish me. And the woman is smilingly saying to Li Fan, it's all Qian Ning's fault. Your lack of thinking has caused trouble for your seniors. And hearing this, Li Fan's reaction changes, and he is thinking, Lu must have let them brag about what a powerful master they had and deceived everyone. And Li Fan says to the woman, they only knew about me and wanted to become my disciples after meeting Long Zixuan and Lu Rang, right? And the woman says, exactly. Senior and Li Fan is thinking, sure enough, these two silly boys are fooling around outside. And then Li Fan starts writing something on the paper, and he is thinking, although I am short of apprentices, I would rather lack them than have too many. They cannot all be fools like Lu Rang and Long Zixuan. And Li Fan gives a paper to Na Feng and says, Na Feng, set this up outside the door, so that those who shouldn't come can retreat in the face of difficulties. And Na Feng looks at that paper and says, only those who can solve this problem can enter and become a disciple. And everyone gets surprised after seeing that mathematical question. And everyone is looking at that question. Seeing that question, Linger says, this is probably the supreme truth. And Lu Rang says, only the truly strong can unlock it. Then the woman says, as expected of Senior Li, we have never seen such a question before, and I am afraid it is an insurmountable difficulty for cultivators in the entire Xiantian realm. The next day, we see a lot of flying ships heading towards Sunli Mountain. And many people have come in front of Li Fan's house, and they are saying, this place is extremely extraordinary. It is indeed the place where the true Buddha lives in seclusion. The charm of Buddhism is endless, and the wonderful principles are hidden. Yes, I feel a rare kind of tranquility in my heart. Just taking a look at this small mountain village is far better than a year of hard training in the Ciheng Jingzhai. And a man is touching something and saying, is this where the senior lives? You can feel the sword's power just by getting close. And when he touches that thing, his hand starts trembling. And then, a mathematical cat appears at that place, and she asks them all a mathematical question. Given that angle 1 is 45 and angle 2 is 30 degrees, find the measure of angle 3. By the way, even a middle school child can answer this mathematical question. And also, I want to ask you guys, do you know the answer to this mathematical question? If you guys know the answer to this question, please comment and answer me this question. Further, when everyone hears that mathematical question, they become very surprised and start saying, is this the decree of the Supreme Being? Legend has it that only the Supreme Being in the fairyland can show the power of the decree. This is a question set by the senior, and only by solving it can one be qualified to become a disciple. I'm afraid this has already been arrived at the Supreme Immortal Path. And then, we see a girl, who after hearing about that question is saying, 2 is born, 3 is born from 2, and all things are born from 3. The figure composed of the 3 golden lines of this senior clearly contains the wonderful principles of the heavens. Who in heaven and on earth can untie it? Every golden thread looks like a peerless sword mark that cuts through eternity. If you can understand it thoroughly, you may become an immortal instantly. Then everyone bows before that mathematics cat and says, we will understand the great path of our predecessors right here. And some time passes, and a man comes to that place and he is saying, no one in the Hono Dashuan heaven realm is destined to do so. Fortunately, I can also glimpse a corner of the great road from this decree, which is considered a worthwhile trip. And then, a boy falls on the ground, his condition becomes very bad, solving this question. And his father says to him, it's difficult for you to understand this supreme road. Let's go. You are injured. Your father will take you away. But the boy says, no. I won't leave. Even if I die, I will follow the path of my predecessors to become the strongest. And his father, while leaving, says to the boy, Although you are a sword cultivator with a broken body, it is not a bad thing to have such a tenacious sword heart. Then he says to an old man, it seems that I have no chance to meet my senior this time. Where is the disciple of the holy master who is destined to be a Buddha? And the old man says he also refuses to leave, so just let him go. Children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. Aren't the parents and children of Holy Lord Dugu among them? Then Linger comes to Li Fan, and says to Li Fan, teacher, that the question is too difficult. Thousands of people have come, but not a single one has solved it. Now, almost all have left. Li Fan says to Linger, hey, don't panic. But Li Fan is thinking, fortunately, I came up with a question, otherwise these guys who don't even know the interior angles of a triangle, or junior high school mathematics would be taking them as apprentices. Still claiming to be a genius in various fields? This is simply unscientific, not at all leisurely science. But then, Li Fan remembers something, which makes him cough. And Li Fan asks Nafeng, do you learn mathematics and geometry here in Xiantian realm? And Nafeng says, mathematics? Geometry? This kind of terrifying treasure technique has never been heard of or seen in the Xiantian world. And Li Fan has made a mess at this place. Damn, that's too sloppy. Then Li Fan says to Nafeng, take that question back and burn it. And Li Fan is thinking, it's not that these thousands of people are stupid at all, it's that the Xiantian realm is all cultivating immortals, and no one studies mathematics at all. So sloppy. And Nafeng asks Li Fan, why do you want to remove him? So Li Fan says, because no one can solve that problem. Next we see a monk, who is praying with folded hands. And then Nafeng comes to that place. And that big mathematical cat, throws that paper out of there. And seeing Nafeng, the monk says, dare you ask the goddess? But that senior's disciple? And Nafeng says yes to that monk, and then a boy comes to that place and says to Nafeng, goddess, why did you take off the title? Did that senior have any instructions? And Nafeng tells them, this question, Xiantian realm no one can figure it out. Because this involves two supreme avenues, mathematics and geometry. Then the boy asks Nafeng, now that you have revealed the topic, does it mean that we can go inside to see that senior? But Nafeng says the teacher didn't say it clearly. Then the boy asks the monk, do we want to go in? And that monk says, I have become a useless person, life and death are not important to me, I will enter. Then that boy is thinking, Kongming Temple is clean, and I came here to pay my respects to my senior. Yes, how am I different from a useless person? If Qinchin is like this, what should I fear? And now that boy starts shouting loudly, Dugu Yuqing, the Dugu family, came here to pay homage to my senior. Li Fan also hears her voice, and Nafeng tells Li Fan, Master, these two people persisted until the end, no matter what refused to leave. And Li Fan says smilingly, well, since you are so determined, let's bring them in. Then both of them come near Li Fan, and bow on their knees in front of Li Fan. And both of them are saying, the junior Dugu Yuqing comes from the Dugu family, and she only hopes to follow her seniors and learn the great way. This junior, Qinchin, is devoted to the Tao. I beg you, senior, to take this junior in. And Li Fan is thinking, looking at both of them, the attitude of these two people is sincere. Having been outside for so long is enough to show that they are determined. But what do they want to learn? And Li Fan says to that boy, do you want to learn calligraphy? And hearing this the boy says, I have been passionate about calligraphy my whole life. And that boy is thinking, calligraphy? Yes, the senior is deliberately trying to teach me. That question contains a strong sense of swordsmanship, and it must have been written by the senior himself. And Li Fan says to that monk, and you? You are a monk, but I have always refused to worship the Buddha or accept Amitabha in the temple. I have never believed in it. And the monk is thinking after listening to Li Fan, such terrifying existences say they don't worship Buddha even though they see it. I'm afraid it means that to him, Buddha is nothing at all. Even in the immortal realm, people do not dare to call Amitabha Buddha directly. Is this being in front of me someone who can casually talk about the ancestor of 10,000 Buddhas? And then Lu Rang comes running to that place and says to Li Fan, Master, I'm going to feed the fish. Li Fan asks him to leave, but when Monk sees the Big Sun Buddha bowl, he becomes very surprised and thinks, "This is the Big Sun Buddha bowl?" "Yes. This must be the Big Sun Buddha bowl, exactly the same as what is recorded in the classics. Shouldn't the sacred objects of Buddhism be hidden in the celestial realm and in the most holy spiritual mountain? How could it be? Could it be his true identity? There are thousands of Buddhist ways. Buddha can transform into thousands of bodies. And Li Fan is thinking about that monk. If this kid wants to learn Buddhism from me, I can't teach him. How should I reject him with all the rules and precepts? Then the monk goes directly and bows near Li Fan's feet and says to Li Fan, "Senior, Qin is willing to give up everything and follow the path of his predecessors." And Li Fan is thinking after listening to her words, giving up everything means returning to secular life. This is acceptable. Just stop banging wooden fish in my ears and chant sutras every day. Then Li Fan says to the monk, "Okay, then you can sweep the floor in the yard from now on." And at the same time Li Fan is thinking, I remember that in a certain TV series, there was a sweeping monk role, which suited him just right. Then Li Fan says to the monk, "Okay, no need to be polite, get up, it's getting late, after dinner, I will teach you things tomorrow. Nan Feng, Ziling, serve." Then when both of them go for dinner, they are very surprised to see the food lying on the table, and think, is this a dish? It's clearly a feast of holy medicine. And seeing the reaction of both of them, Lu Rang and Zixuan are saying, "Come on, brother, when we first came here, we felt very surprised, but as you gradually get used to it, you will understand that this is our daily routine." Then both of them are having dinner, and the boy says, "I now understand why Senior Brother Long and Senior Brother Lu are so outstanding." And Lu Rang says to both of them, "Two junior brothers, I will show you the vegetables in the vegetable field I planted tomorrow." These vegetables all grow in the vegetable field, and the monk makes a gesture and says, "Senior Sister Nafong, she and we see Nafong, who is having an orgasm, oh sorry. I mean enjoying it." Then Nafong slowly opens her eyes and says, "I'm sorry, fellow juniors, I didn't control myself well enough to become immortal." And when both of them hear that Nafong has now become an immortal, they are very surprised and both of them start thinking, how could it be possibility? Just by having a meal, you have become an immortal. Monster, absolutely monster. Next, the scene shifts, and we see sea of clouds in the sky. And at that place there are only those black hoodie men. And one of the men asks, "Any news?" So the second man explains, Xiantian realm is one of the 21 lower realms connected to Xingyun City. I went to the Immortal History Museum to check all the records about the lower realms of Xingyun City cultivators and found this. This is the only person recorded in 2,000 years who went to the lower world and never returned. The man says, "Thanks for your hard work." Then the man says, 300 years ago, a demon cultivator, Ming Tianbei, sneaked into the Tianhun sect, took away the Tianhun sect's most precious treasure, the Tianhun pearl, and severely damaged the Tianhun sect. He escaped into the lower world to escape for his life, and his specific whereabouts are unknown. This person was extremely vicious and his cultivation was at the level of a heavenly immortal. His attacks were vicious and he killed countless immortals and immortals. Moreover, the cultivators he killed often had their vitality cut off and their souls scattered. The attack was vicious. Life was cut off, and the soul was scattered to the north. The demonic cultivator was vicious, killing people very thoroughly and leaving their souls scattered. From this point of view, it was consistent with the deaths of Zhang Xian and Luo Ming. And the other man says, forcibly descending from the immortal realm requires paying a heavy price. Even if you are in the realm of immortals, you may fall below the realm of immortals if you enter the lower realm. After recuperating for 300 years, this demon cultivator should have returned to the realm of a true immortal, or above. If it is a heavenly immortal, no. Immortals above the true immortals and mysterious immortals are the heavenly immortals. There are not enough people in Xiantian realm. Once a heavenly immortal appears, he will be sensed by the immortal realm. That's right, even if the other party recovers his cultivation level, he will only dare to stay in the realm of Xianxian at most. If the southern territory is really Ming Tianbei, we may not need to take action. Xinyan's city is chasing him. We only need to confirm one thing now about the existence of the Southern Territory, whether it is the demonic cultivator Gu Tianbei or not. After this, the scene shifts, and we see the ruins of the immortal platform. And the bottom of the immortal platform, there is a man. And he is looking ahead. There is a coffin in front of him, and the man says, after being nurtured by the Tiahun Pearl for 300 years, the Demon Lord's original soul should have awakened. Recently, there was an incredibly terrifying sword intent from above, penetrating through thousands of layers of earth and attacking. Fortunately, it did not target this place. Otherwise, I'm afraid both me and the soul of Demon Lord will be annihilated together. And the man starts laughing like crazy, vigorous demonic energy. Is the Demon Lord's soul about to come out? You are finally about to come out. The immortal realm and all other realms will tremble once again under your command. And then a little girl comes out of that coffin, and that girl asks, "Who are you?" "You are Ming Tianbei." And the man looks at that little girl and thinks, "Is this the Demon Lord? Is the Demon Lord a female?" And the man says, "I, Ming Tianbei, servant of the Demon General Gonya, is coming to pay respects to you. Your return will surely once again." And the little girl says, "Shut up. I sense the presence of my other souls here." And then, a demon comes to that place and says, "I'm Change, here to respectfully welcome the gathering of the Demon Lord's souls. Please, accompany me and complete the Demon Lord's true form." And that demon moves forward to attack that little girl, but the man comes in front of him, and says to that demon, "Change? Do you serve for Demon General Jingni?" But the demon emits black energy from a jar and says, "The soul I guard is the true Demon Lord. Do you, a my profound demon, dare to try to stop me? The Demon Lord's soul shall return to its original place." Then the little girl casts a teleport spell, due to which both of them get teleported to another place. And the little girl says to the man, "Carry me and run quickly, my strength has not fully recovered yet." But that demon is not going to give up chasing both of them. He comes back to attack both of them. And seeing this, the man starts flying very fast. But then the little girl feels something, and she says, "I feel an extraordinary aura below." And hearing this, the man says, "That village? The vast and desolate Mount Sungli has already been destroyed. Why is this small mountain village still unharmed?" Next, we see a man in a black hoodie, and one of the men is saying, "It seems that the master from the southern region is living in seclusion in the mountain village ahead. It would be dangerous to approach uninvited." And the other man says, "We just need to confirm that the one hiding here is the demonic cultivator." And then the little girl and the man fly past them. And seeing this, the man says, "This aura. It can be confirmed now. The demon cultivator Ming Tianbei is indeed hidden here." And his other companion says, "Lord, from a distance, that demonic cultivator's cultivation level seems to have even surpassed the level of profound immortal." But the man smiles and says, "Even the great golden immortal has to kneel under the sanction of the immortal realm." Then we see both of them, who are running very fast. And that man is thinking, "What place is this? My power is being suppressed so heavily that I can't even take off." And after some time, both of them reach near Li Fan's house. And seeing that place, the man is thinking, What kind of courtyard is this? The aura of immortality flowers like the vast sea, and the harmonious sound of the great Tao quietly circulate. It would be quite dangerous to get any closer." And the man says to the little girl, "Demon Lord, the one who resides here in seclusion is probably a powerful being from the immortal realm." But the little girl says, "Go in and take a look." And after listening to the little girl, the man says, "My lord, don't go. He's probably indeed a powerful being from the immortal realm, but the immortals and demons cannot coexist, I'm afraid." And that little girl comes down and says, "How could such a powerful immortal exist in the small Xiantian realm? Maybe he was waiting for me all along, who knows? However, just to be safe, we need to disguise ourselves a bit. The clothes you are wearing are too conspicuous. Borrow me some power, I haven't recovered yet." And after listening to the little girl, the man is thinking, "Demon Lord, your clothes are not better than mine." Then the little girl uses her power, and changes her clothes, and also changes the man's clothes. Then she goes in front, and starts knocking on the door, and says, "Excuse me, is anyone there?" And Na Feng opens the door, and when Na Feng sees that little girl, she starts asking, "Little sister, who are you? What are you doing here?" And the little girl says, "Sister, there are bad guys chasing us. My uncle and I are on the run. Can you help us?" Na Feng gets surprised after hearing this, and Na Feng comes to that man, and looking at him she is thinking, this person is also a cultivator, and his aura is extremely extraordinary. And Na Feng says to that little girl, "Sister, come in with me first." But that little girl is thinking, this devil is still in this spiritual cute state. No matter how powerful you are in the fairy world, you still can't see through this devil's disguise. And as soon as she goes inside Li Fan's house, she gets surprised. When she looks in front, she sees that there is a phoenix, a dragon in front of her, seeing which the little girl gets very scared. She starts crying and holds Na Feng and is saying, I didn't mean to break in. I'm not a bad person. Please, I'm scared." And Na Feng is saying to that little girl, "Little sister, don't be afraid." And Li Fan is thinking while looking at that little girl, although the clothes are simple, but the skin is tender and tender, it can be seen that he is dressed like this on purpose, in disguise. His skin is pale, and he seems to be sick. Could it be that something happened to his family, and he is dressed like this to avoid being chased by his enemies? And Li Fan says she is no ordinary person. "However, since you have entered this door, let's stay for now." And hearing this, the little girl is thinking, what kind of unimaginable ancient giant is this? Has my identity been seen through by him? And that little girl says, "Thank you, senior." And Li Fan puts his hand on the little girl's head and says, "There is no need to call me senior, just call me big brother." Li Fan asks Na Feng, where is her uncle? So Na Feng tells Li Fan, her uncle is not like ordinary people who dare not come in when they are outside. And hearing this, Li Fan thinks, this uncle is probably a hired bodyguard or something. If a small mountain village is so united and there is a problem, everyone will come to help. What kind of bodyguard is needed? And Li Fan tells Na Feng, let him leave for now. If the pursuers come, he will suffer a lot. And Na Feng says yes after listening to Li Fan. Then she starts going to that man, and then the little girl also says, "I will also go to my uncle, I have to tell him something." And now both of them come to that man, and Na Feng says to that man, "My master orders you to leave for now." And that man is thinking, how can I leave the devil? Today's demon Lord Yuan Han still needs protection. And the little girl says to the man, "Uncle, please find a place to hide. The seniors here will protect me." And after listening to that little girl, the man is thinking, the person whom the demon lord calls a senior. The demon lord means to let me go first. Next, we see the demon bursting out of the ground. And he is saying, the breath of the soul disappears when it reaches here. Think and learn? What a strong aura of avenue! Is this place the residence of a powerful person from the immortal realm? It turns out that the Gongya demon commander's lineage colluded with the immortal realm. Shameful! I want to see it. After all, a strong man from the immortal realm dares to snatch someone from the demon commander Jingye? After this we see Li Fan, who is sitting near the pond and fishing. And he is saying, what's going on in the yard? Is it Lu Rang who is going crazy again with Qing Chen? The fish all scared away. And the man also hears that voice, and when he looks back, he sees the same demon in front of him. But the condition of that demon is very bad. And the demon is speaking, "You. What is it that you are colluding with?" And seeing the condition of that demon, that man is also very surprised. And he is thinking, it seems that the demon lord does have friendship with some terrifying existences, and it should be safe to have fun you now. I should hide now and inform magician Gongya. After this the scene shifts, and we see those black hoodie men, who are talking. How? The identity of the existence in the Southern Territory is that demon cultivator? Without further ado, I'll keep an eye on who he is and notify the helmsman immediately. It's that demonic cultivator in the dark sky. Why split the helm? As long as Xingyin City in the Northern Immortal Territory knows that the demon cultivator who stole the Heavenly Soul Pearl is hiding here. Kill with a borrowed knife, that's it.